ज्ञानान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे। श्री चैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्रीराधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचना गौरांगी श्री राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नामाय नारायण नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। श्रीमतां स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्य श्रवण कीर्तनम हृदयन्तस्तु अभद्राणि विधुनोति सुरसतां नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। सर्वशास्त्रादि पीयूष सर्ववैदिक सत्फल सर्वसिद्धांत रत्नाद्य सर्वलोकैक दृक्प्रद सर्वभागवत प्राण श्रीमद्भागवतो प्रभु कलिदन्तोतितादित्य श्री कृष्ण परिवर्तिता परमानंद पाठाय प्रेम वर्ष अक्षराय ते सर्वदा सर्वसेवाय श्री कृष्णाय नमोस्तुते। मद एक बंधु मद संगी मद गुरुन् मद महादन मद निष्ठारक मद भाग्य मद आनंद नमोस्तुते। असाधु साधु दादाइन अति नीच करा हाना मुंचा कदाचिन्मा प्रेम न हृत कंथयो स्पुरः। ग्रंथराशन भागवतम की जय। O Srimad Bhagavatam, O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O uplifter of the most fallen, please never leave me. Accompanied by pure love of Krishna, please manifest yourself in my heart and in my throat. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So thank you all so much for joining. Nice to see all of you. Welcome. Okay, so we are in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter number 13, title Appearance of Lord Varahadev. Okay. Does anyone remember any points from our previous class? What did we discuss? How did we come in the flow of our creation to this appearance of Varahadev? Go ahead, someone please. Unmute.
Krishna.
Yes, Mataji.
So when Brahma was not happy with the procreation, that the way it was going on, not enough procreation, then he was feeling sad. So two personalities appeared, Swayambhu Manu and Shatavarsha.
Shatarupa.
Shatarupa. And yeah, and so he was instructing what to do. So he prays, Swayambhu Manu prays and asks, what am I supposed to do? And then he tells him, pray to the Lord and then do the procreation. And then he, in the meantime, Varahadev appears from his nose and he grows into a big, gigantic form. And then they start praying.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. So, actually, in the previous chapter, we saw this and the aspect of creation of Brahmaji and all the 5 Ds, like basically the reversals that Brahmaji had during the creation. And the last D was that of deficiency. And then after the whole creation, after his best effort, he still found that the procreation was not done successfully. And then 2 personalities, and this is actually Vishnu himself playing the role where 2 personalities, Swayambhu Manu and Shatarupa, they emerge from the body of Brahmaji. And we read that how after these 2 personalities appeared, then Swayambhu Manu, he actually offers prayers to Brahmaji and uh, right. So basically, he says that how you are the father of all living entities and the source of sustenance. Please give us instructions how we can actually serve you. And when we see after Swayambhu Manu actually made this point, then Brahmaji actually is very pleased with that attitude of Swayambhu Manu, right? Unlike the 4 Kumaras, when the 4 Kumaras were asked for propagation, they said, no, no, we are not interested. We just want to take Brahmachari life, right? So they denied. And here, Swayambhu Manu, his mood is just complete surrender and no reservation. Just Brahmaji, whatever you want, I'm here at your service. So Brahmaji was extremely pleased with Swayambhu Manu and Shatarupa, and he actually said, Badram te, all auspicious be upon you and your wife, because you have surrendered to me in such an auspicious way. Right? And then he actually said, so what are there are 4 instructions that Brahmaji gave Swayambhu Manu. Anyone remembers? 3 instructions, sorry, 3 instructions. Right?
Create progeny, Prabhuji.
Yes, create progeny, that was first one. Yeah.
Rule in a dharmic way.
Rule in a dharmic way, yes.
Mm.
And yajna.
Worship Lord and do the yajna.
Yeah, worship Lord through performing sacrifices. Okay? Perform sacrifice to worship the Lord. So these 3 instructions, Brahmaji gave Swayambhu Manu, and Swayambhu Manu was thinking, yes, I'll follow all these instructions, but there is a problem. What is the problem? The earth where people are going to live, that is right now submerged into the Garbhodak ocean, right? So that is beyond my domain to actually lift up the earth and put it back on axis. So he was saying, Brahmaji, you actually do this, and then I will continue with my seva. So you make this first arrangement, and then I'll continue. And Brahmaji was contemplating, how can I do this? Swayambhu Manu cannot do it, but even I am, not powerful to actually lift the earth from the Garbhodak ocean. And when he was just thinking in this way, contemplating, how will this happen? How will the earth, which is actually in the Garbhodak ocean, be picked up and put back into axis? And when he was thinking in this way, then through his nose, this form came out, which is actually initially just the size of a thumb, and then it grew to the big size of that of an elephant, like a huge size, right? And we discussed the point that why did Varahadev come from the nose? And we actually made the point that how the breath of the Lord is actually the Vedas, right? And it is actually Brahmaji. He received this Vedic knowledge, and because it came out from the nose of the Lord, that Vedic knowledge which was absorbed by Brahma, the same personality came out through the nose, because the form of Varahadev is said to be the Vedas personified. So this point is stressed again and again, that though he is the Lord himself, he is he's the Lord himself. He's come in a form as Varaha, a boar or a pig form, and that form is actually considered one of the lower species. But still, we should understand, in spite of the Lord taking any form of species, still he is actually the personified Vedas, right? So hence he came out from the nose, and he came in a small size, and then he grew big, right? And all the Brahmaji and the other personalities from the higher planetary system, they were actually speculating, who is this personality, right? Is this some kind of divine being, or is he actually the first avatar, first Manvantara, right? The Manvantara avatar, right? First Manvantara avatar, the avatar of the Manvantara. Is he that personality Vishnu? And then how did the Varahadev confirm that he is actually Vishnu?
Once.
He just
Roaring.
roared. And just when he roared, when he made that sound, he just roared. Just that sound. Because as soon as they heard their sound, what happened? Their lamentation went away, and they actually realized that this is Vishnu himself. You know, he is actually Vishnu himself. And hence, our problem of the earth being submerged is going to be solved. So hence their lamentation went away, and they were assured that our problem at hand is going to be solved because the Lord himself has appeared. And then the Veda Vitana Murti, the personified Vedas, then he jumped into the waves, into the water. And what happened? Because he jumped, the water actually created two waves, which actually appeared like two hands calling out to the Lord that please don't divide me into two. Please protect me. Right? So even the ocean was that way, offering prayers to the Lord. And then after that, the Lord, through his smell, he found where the earth was. He picked up the earth and placed it back into the axis. Right? So that is basically the first Varaha. Now today we'll start discussing the second Varaha. Right? So Maitreya Rishi, when he's actually talking of these two Varahas, he does not make a difference. Say that, okay, this is the first Varaha, this is the second Varaha. But our acharyas have clearly elaborated on this point, that there was one Varaha at the starting of the day of Brahma. Right? So that's what we are reading. Starting of the day of Brahma. First Manvantara, that is Swayambhuva Manu. He's appeared, and that's a problem. And then that Varaha is known as which Varaha?
Shweta Varaha.
Shweta Varaha, right? White complexion, Shweta Varaha, right? But then now what we are going to read is second Varaha. And who is that Varaha?
Neelavaram.
Yeah.
Neel.
Neela Varaha, right? Neela Varaha. So this is the bluish form of the Lord, right? And when does this form appear? This form appears, actually it is said that this form appears from the water, not from the nostril of Brahmaji. The nostril of Brahmaji, that form which appears from nostril is Shweta Varaha, starting of the day. The second form appears from the water itself, right? And this appears at the 6th Manvantara, 6 out of the 14, right? So 6th Manvantara is known as Chakshusha Manvantara. And why at the time of Chakshusha Manvantara? We discussed this point last time, that why would the earth be submerged at the time of Chakshusha Manvantara?
Hiranyaksha.
Shah.
Okay. So one point is actually explained that how Hiranyaksha, he actually took so much gold from the earth that the balance of the earth got spoiled and then it actually fell into the earth. The other way explanation is given that at the end of Chakshusha Manvantara, normally the annihilation that happens, the partial annihilation, happens only at the end of Day of Brahma. But in the end of the 6th Manvantara, this is not every day of Brahma, but end of the 6th Manvantara, there was like a deluge of water. You know, it was almost like at the night of Brahma, how the water fills up. So even the water actually, the devastating water filled up and the earth was actually in the water, right? So why was this happening? Because the Lord actually wanted to show Satyavrat, right? This actually comes in the end of the 6th canto, this pastime, right? I'm sorry, end of the 6th canto, end of the 6th canto, there's this pastime where the Matsya avatar comes, right? So just before the appearance of the Matsya avatar, it is described that how at this Chakshusha Manvantara, what happens and how the earth, there is a deluge and then the earth is there and then another form of Varaha appeared to pick up the earth and put it back on the axis. And it is during this time that the Varahadev, he actually kills who? Hiranyaksha. The first demon. Okay. Okay. So ready? Continue. Text number 31. Everyone okay up to this point? Yes?
Seems like last time we ended with 27. Last verse we did was 27. Is that right? Or
No, I think we did up to 30, right?
No, we're on 31.
31.
31.
okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Swadam strayodritya mahim nimagnam sa utita samruruchera sayaha tatrapi daityam gadaya patantam sunabha sandipta tivra manyuhu.
Lord Bull very easily took the earth on his tusks and got it out of the water. Thus he appeared very splendid. Then his anger, glowing like the Sudarshan wheel, he immediately killed the demon Harinyaksha, although he tried to fight with the Lord. Hare Krishna.
So, what is the point that is actually made? That here it says Swa Damstraya, right? So that Damstraya we hear even with the personality of Narsimadev, Damstraya, right? So he actually, that's like the tusk of Varahadev. He actually Udrita Mahim. Mahi refers to the earth. So he actually picked up the earth by his own tusk, which was Nimagna. Nimagna means it was submerged. It was submerged, so he actually picked it up. And this we are actually reading about the other Nila Varaha, right? And the Chakshusha Manvantara. And then Utita Rasayaha. He actually picked it up from the water. And then it says Samru Ruche. Samru Ruche. That means the earth actually, Varahadev picking up the earth, that form appeared very splendid, right? And then it says Tatrapi Daityam. There also was present a Daitya. Danava, Daitya. Right? Daitya is a demon. So here, whenever we talk about demon, the aspect of demon, that was not at the, cannot be at Swayambhuva Manu. I mean, the Swayambhuva Manvantara. It is actually at the 6th, right? So Daityam, as soon as it refers to a Tatrapi Daityam. So you're lifting the earth, and at that time, Tatrapi, there was also a Daitya or a demon. And in Gadaya, he actually, with his club in his hand, was rushing towards him. Right? There was also a demon who was rushing towards the Lord with a club in his hand. And Sunabha Sandipta Tipra Manyuha. And his anger was glowing like Sudarshan Chakra. The Lord's anger was actually glowing like Sudarshan Chakra. Okay. So this is here. And Prabhupada in the purport explains about these two Varaha. One is Chakshusha and then other is Swayambhuva Manu. Right. So even Vishwachakra Thakur, he clearly makes the point that Hiranyaksha is the son of Diti, who is the daughter of Daksha, who belonged to the Chakshusha Manvantara, 6th Manvantara. So this Varaha who killed Hiranyaksha appeared in the Chakshusha Manvantara and is called Neela Varaha. Okay, next 32.
Jaghanarudhanam masaya vikramam salila yebham rigaradi bhambasi Rakta pankam kita ganda tundo yatha gajendro dragatim vibindan.
Hare Krishna translation. Thereupon Lord Bull killed the demon within the water, just as a lion kills an elephant. The cheeks and tongue of the Lord became smeared with the blood of the demon, just as an elephant becomes reddish from digging in the purple earth. Hare Krishna.
So two comparisons are actually given in this verse, right? So it says Jagana kill, he killed whom? Rudhanam. Rudhanam means that obstructive enemy, right? So basically this word Rudhana also means one who is actually wandering all about to obstruct Varahadev from picking the earth. So Varahadev was actually picking the earth and putting it back, and there was a demon who was trying to obstruct Varahadev. So that is Rudhanam. Then Asahai Vikrama, right? And this way he actually Vikramam means exhibited prowess by actually killing this demon Hiranyaksha, right? So what are two comparisons? So first it says Eva like what? Like the elephant and the lion, right? Lilaya Ibham Mrigarata. Just like an lion can easily kill an elephant. Right? So similarly, the Lord easily killed Hiranyaksha. That's first comparison. And second one, the Rakta Panka Ankita, right? Which actually says that Gandha and Tundha, the cheeks and the tongue of the Lord, they became smeared with the blood of the demon, just like Yatha, just like Gajendraha, Jagatim, Vibindan, right? So just like an elephant when it actually digs the earth, then the cheeks and the trunk of the elephant become reddish, right? So similarly, the form of the Lord became reddish, right? I don't know why the elephant's tongue and cheek would become reddish, and also here Prabhupada says purple earth. I wasn't sure, like I looked at it, it's not from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, but Prabhupada mentions digging the purple earth. So I'm not sure about that, where that purple came from. But the second example is Gajendra. Gajendra we know is elephant. His cheeks and trunks turned reddish when he is actually cleaving the earth, moving the earth, right? So two comparisons. So Jiva Goswami actually in this to this verse he actually explains that how right. Right. So I already explained this point that how he says this inundation was, the earth was inundated in Chakshusha Manvantara. In the inundation of the earth during Swayambhuva's reign, the inhabitants of Jana, Tapa, and Satyalok praised the earth for protecting the places of Mahalok. Okay, I already explained this point, so we are good now. Okay, so now text number 33.
Pramalaneelam sitadantakotyam kshamam utkshipantam gajalilayanga pragyaya bodhan jalayonuvakar virinchi mukhya upatasturisham.
Translation. Then the Lord, flying like an elephant, suspended the earth on the edge of his curved white tusk. He assumed a bluish complexion like that of a tamal tree, and thus the sages, headed by Brahma, could understand him to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead and offered respectful obeisances unto the Lord.
So here it says Tamala Neelam. Tamala we know is like tamal tree, like bluish complexion, right? So in the previous form, as Shvetavara, how did they recognize that this is Vishnu himself? Just by the sound of the Lord, right? When the Varaha, they made that sound, he roared, then they understood, oh, this is our Vishnu. Here, how did they recognize this personality is Vishnu? Just by his complexion. They saw the complexion like bluish, like Tamala. Then they understood that, oh, this is our Lord. And Sita Danta, it had white tusk, Kotya with a curved edge, right? So this is a form of the Lord with a curved head. And Shamam Ukshi Pantam, right? And then he suspended the earth on this tusk, which has a curved end. And Gaja Lilaya. Was it hard for the Lord to pick up the earth? No, just like a leela, like a playful pastime, just like an elephant may play and lift like a rose. So similarly, it was so easy. The elephant could pick up a lotus. So similarly, it was so easy for the Lord to pick up the earth. Right? And then the next part of the verse says, Pragyaya, after understanding that they understood that this is our Lord Himself, then Badha Anjalaya. Right? Anjali, we saw this word before also in this chapter. Where was that? Who was offering Anjalihi to whom? Who else did we discuss about in this chapter?
Swayambhu Manu.
Yes,
Yeah.
right. Swayambhava Manu, he actually first offers obeisances to Brahmaji and then he speaks, right? So similarly here, it says with folded hands, all Brahmaji, right? The sages, Virinchi Mukhyaha, Virinchi referring to Brahma, along with the other sages. So sages headed by Brahmaji, they actually Anuvakahi, they offered prayers to the Lord. And that's basically described in this verse. So from next verse onwards, 34 is the prayers of the Lord until until verse number 45 are the prayers by Brahmaji and the other sages to form of Varahadev. Okay, everyone okay up to this point? Okay. So let's start the prayers now. And Right. Also, I mentioned last time that some, so Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur actually in this verse, he mentions that some of them say, that some authorities say that this form, this Neela Varaha, is like a half man, half boar form, right? So I showed the illustration last time. There's actually a nice painting on this. Right. Let me share my screen again. So you see this form of the Lord? Like half man, half boar, and it has the earth right on top. It's a nice painting, and he's killed his personality, Hiranyaksha. So some personalities say this is half man, half boar. Okay, so let's continue. So now we'll read the prayers of the Lord. So 34 onwards.
Rishaya Uchuhu Jitam Jitam Te Jita Yagya Bhavana Rayim Tanum Swam Paridunvate Namaha Yadromagarteshu Nilir Atayas Tasmai Namakarana Sukarayate.
Hare Krishna. Translation: All the sages uttered with great respect, O unconquerable enjoyer of all sacrifices, all glories and all victories unto you. You are moving in your form of the personified Vedas, and in the air holes of your body, the oceans are submerged. For certain reasons, to uplift the earth, you have now assumed the form of boar. Hare Krishna.
Hmm. So if you just see the verse, it's actually very nice. You can see the Sanskrit and follow along. It says Jitam Jitam Te Jita Yagya Bhavana. Very nice first line. You can memorize it. Jitam Jitam Te Jita Yagya Bhavana. What does that mean? Jitam Jitam means all glories, all victories unto you. You have just killed this demon Hiranyaksha. So all glories and all victories unto you. And then Yagya Bhavana. Yagya Bhavana is one who is actually understood by the performance of yajna, right? Who is the personality? The only way to understand the Lord is through yajna, through devotion, right? So yajna bhavana. And then the next line says, Traim tanu. Your body is personified Vedas. Roma garteshu niliyu adhaya. And in the whole hair holes of your body, the oceans are submerged. So how do we understand this? So if you see the form of Mahavishnu, we know how he actually, when he breathes out through the holes in the hairs, it's like through those pores, the universes actually come up. So here they are saying the entire ocean, which is so vast, is actually merged, is actually present in the holes of the hairs on your skin, right? And then further he says, Tasmai Namahate. We offer our obeisances unto you, Karana Sukaraya. For some cause, for a particular cause, Karana, you have accepted the form of Shukara. That is actually Varahadev, right? So obeisance unto you have assumed this form of a hog for certain reasons. So Prabhupada in the purport stresses on the point that the Lord, he can assume any form he likes in all circumstances. Right? The Lord can actually become any form. Right? So they actually in it's also mentioned that the Lord actually, it's in the 8.4 million species, he appears in all species. You know, actually show an avatar. So imagine the Lord appearing in, I don't know if it's there in your place, but here we have this cicadas. Anyone know cicada? There's like some people don't know. There's like an invasion of these cicadas. So these are like small bugs, you know, it is just like maybe this size, 1.5 inch or so. And these bugs, they actually wake up once in 13 years or 17 years, depending on their kind. Otherwise, they are just within the root of the tree. And after like 13 or 17 years, so now they say it is a 13-year category. After 13 years, what they do is they are, for 13 years, they are just underneath the tree. But after 13 years, they actually wake up, they come out of the tree, and then they lay their eggs within the tree. They come out and they die. Imagine, I was thinking about this, like imagine their life. What kind of species is this? That 13 years they have to stay underneath. And we don't even know how they keep the clock. Okay, first year, second year, third year, and they wait for 13 years. and then they'll just come out, and then after lay their eggs, and that's it. They leave their body. That's their lifespan. Suddenly, like, imagine like getting a species among that. You get degraded to a lower species and you're 13 years underneath a tree. And now it's like, and at least in Hillsborough area, there's so many. Like in the morning you wake up, all you can hear is like a siren sound. It's just like non-stop, so loud, and it's all these, there are like thousands of cicadas everywhere, So anyway, this is but why I mentioned this is the Lord, he actually assumes any form in all species. There's no restriction for the Lord. Whatever species, he'll come to show mercy in the living entity in that species. So he accepts, or he can assume any form he likes in all circumstances, but he's always transcendental. He's always transcendental. Right? Okay. And the Lord is the Vedas personified. He's the enjoyer of all sacrifices, and he's Ajita. Jita, Jita, Jitam, Jitam, Ajita. Right? All glories to you who can never be conquered. Ajita. Okay, 35.
Rupam tavaitan nanu dushkritatmanam durdarshanam deva yat advaratmakam chandamsi asya tvachi bariro mashu ajyam drushitvanu grishu chaturhotram.
Hare Krishna. O Lord, your form is worshipable by performances of sacrifice, but souls who are simply miscreants are unable to see it. All the Vedic hymns, Gayatri and others, are in touch of your skin. In your bodily hairs is the kusha grass. In your eyes is the clarified butter, and in your four legs are the four kinds of fruitive activities.
Okay, so here actually from this verse onwards, we'll see that every verse is saying that how different aspects of the creation came from different parts of the Lord. Right? So first of all, this verse starts off with Rupam. This is your form of the Lord. Duskrita Atmanam. Right? Those who are Duskrita, which is a verse in Bhagavad Gita that talks of Duskrita.
Namam duskritino.
Namam Duskritam Muda Prapadante Naradama Maya Parta Jnana Asuram Bhavam Ashrita. So four kinds of people who do not surrender to Krishna. And then it is Duskrita. These kinds are called Duskrita. So what is the point made for Duskrita? Duskrita Atmanam Durdarshanam. Like in India, they had this channel, Doordarshan. Doordarshan. Here it says Doordarshanam. For those miscreants, it is very difficult to see this form of the Lord. Right? So that's the point, right? And Prabhupada stresses on this point. So we'll come in the purport. And then further they say, Deva Yad Advara Atmakam. Right? Your form is worshipable by the performance of sacrifice. Like similar point to the previous verse. Then the next two lines, the line 3 and 4, talks about how four aspects come from the Lord. First is Chandamsi. Chandamsi means all the Vedic hymns, including the Gayatri. Where does it come from? Tvachi. Tvachi means the skin of the Lord. Right? So all the Vedas appear from the Vedic hymns appear from the skin of the Lord. Then Barhi. Barhi means all the sacred grass, such as the Kusha grass. They actually come from the Romasa. Romasu means hairs on the body. Then Ajyam. Ajyam means ghee. Ghee came from the Drishi. Drishi means eyes. So ghee actually manifested from the eyes. And Hotram. Hotram came from the Angrishu. Angrishu referring to the legs, right? The four legs. So we discussed this before also. Chatuha Hotram. So when we do a sacrifice, there are four kinds of priests, right? Hotra. So there's the Hotra, Advaryu, Udgata, and Brahma. These are the four personalities that are actually there when we perform a sacrifice. So all we are seeing right now is because the Lord is worshipped through sacrifice, all the ingredients to perform the yajna is coming from the Lord. Right? Anyone can think of a verse from the Bhagavad Gita where it actually says that how when a sacrifice is performed, the performer, the ingredients, and the offering, everything becomes spiritual.
It's in the 4th chapter.
Yes. 4:24. Brahma Arpanam, Brahma Havir, Brahmagno, Brahmana Hota. So everything, the person who's offering, the ingredients, the ghee, the leather, everything, and the fire. Fire is also the form of the Lord. That we'll read one of the, that's also coming from the Lord, will come further, right? And Vishnu is appearing in the form of fire. So the fire is spiritual, the ingredients are spiritual, and the person who's actually offering, he also becomes spiritual. So in that purport, Prabhupada actually makes the point that this is our process of Krishna consciousness. What is the process? That our entire life is actually a yajna. So when we are connecting anything that we have, we are offering that to Vishnu, then the object itself becomes spiritualized. Like how Prabhupada, he gives a point like when one lecture he was saying that because we are using this microphone in Krishna's service, this microphone is now spiritualized. Because from Krishna's point, everything is Krishna's energy. So now we can say, because we use Zoom, like all around the world, like they use Zoom. I don't think like any other organization uses Zoom as much as ISKCON devotees do. Because like every day morning they get up and how many japa calls are there? Everywhere, like 4:30 a.m. to 7 a.m. japa conference. Then there's Bhagavatam reading. Throughout the day, like who uses Zoom as much as ISKCON devotees? You should get a recognition, maximum use of Zoom. So because Zoom is being used in Krishna service, no, Zoom one way. Certainly we'll get some spiritual credit for giving the platform where Krishna Katha is being spoken. So anything that we use in Krishna service is actually spiritualized, right? And that is our process. So our house, our property, everything, our car, if everything is used just for Krishna's service, then it is spiritualized. And we, because we are using the instruments in Krishna's service, we also become spiritualized. And now what is the other example Prabhupada gives? Just like an iron rod is in fire. As soon as you keep the iron rod in fire, keep it for some time, and the iron rod has the properties of fire. So even if you take it out and you touch anyone else, then the skin will burn, right? Same as properties of fire. Similarly, because we are keeping ourselves in contact with the spiritual reality, with Krishna, with devotional service, then we actually become spiritualized, right? So hence, to meet a spiritual person, when you meet a guru, we actually respect the guru as Sakshat Haritena, as Hari himself, because he's completely in contact with Hari, he's completely spiritualized, right? Okay, so 4 items we read here comes from the body of the Lord. So when we do a yajna, there's chanting of Vedic hymns, Jamsi, that comes from the skin of the Lord. Then we use kusha grass to perform the yajna, that comes from the hairs of the body. Ghee, we need, certainly without ghee we cannot do yajna. It comes from the eyes of the Lord. And Chatuhotram, there has to be 4 priests. It comes from the 4 legs of the Lord. Right? So Prabhupada in his purport, he talks about Vedavadaha, which is this verse from Bhagavad Gita, Vedavada. Second chapter.
No. Navam Dushkriti Namoda?
No, Vedavada. In the second chapter, this is text number 42, Krishna actually means Ya imam pushpitam vacha pravadante avipashitaha vedavada ratha partha. Right? And then he said Nanyad astiti vadina. And what is the point he's saying? Oh Arjun, men of small knowledge are very much attached to the flowery words of the Vedas. Right? So those who are attached to the Karma Kanda section of the Vedas, Krishna refers to them as Vedavada Rataha. So Prabhupada is actually explaining this. There's a class of miscreants who are known in the words of Bhagavad Gita as Vedavadi. Right? They are just focused on the Karma Kanda section. So Prabhupada is actually saying that even this class of people are actually miscreants. If you are just focusing, performing sacrifice just to get material benefits, still you're Duskrita. You will not get darshan of the Lord. Durdarshan, right? Durdarshan. You will not get darshan of the Lord. Right? So they do not believe in the incarnation of the Lord. What to speak of the Lord appearing as a form of a worshipable hog. And then Prabhupada talks about this concept of anthropomorphism. Right? So what is this philosophy of anthropomorphism? Anyone knows this point?
When we give attribution of human characteristics to non-human entities, including animals.
Okay, but what is it in terms of our philosophy? So you're right that, so in terms of animals, you said, but what, in general, the people, the followers of this philosophy, anthropomorphism, is that they say because human beings have 2 hands, 2 legs, 2 eyes, nose, mouth, and hence we are projecting that form on the Lord, and hence Lord has 2 hands, 2 legs, 2 eyes, and so on. So they say because we are experiencing some emotion, the Lord is also experiencing emotion. So they project our emotions, our form on to the Lord and say that why are you? They may come to a temple and say, "Oh, Radha Golokananda, form of Krishna is 2 hands." Oh yeah, that is on form. Because you have that form, you have actually given that form to the Lord so that you can worship a form. But that's not right. Right? That is totally wrong. So hence Prabhupada says this is the miscreants. They can never accept, they can never appreciate, see the form of the Lord because they think the Lord is that form because we are that form. But it is the opposite way. Man is made in the image of God. Not God is actually following the image of man. Right? So that is anthropomorphism. Right? Okay. And then Prabhupada talks about Namam Duskritam Muda, Miscreants are fools, lowest of mankind, their knowledge is plundered by illusion, right? So they cannot actually accept these incarnations. But here Srimad Bhagavatam is calling them Duskrita, Bhagavad Gita is calling them Duskritaha, right? They can never see the form of the Lord. So even this point about Kushagras, is actually explained that this will come further also, that when Varahadevi actually appeared, because he dived in the water, when he came out, his skin was wet. Right? And if you've seen like some animals, like a dog or something, it's in water, it comes out, then it's wet. Then what does it do immediately? It shakes his body, right? So the water. So even Varahadevi shook his body, right? And the water droplets fell on all these sages and they felt so purified just by that water. But when he shook his body, even the hairs of the body that actually fell, that actually became kusha grass. So kusha grass is actually considered the hair of the form of the Lord, of Varahadev. And hence kusha grass is actually used in sacrifice. Okay. 36.
Shaktunda asit Shruva Ishana Sayor Ido Dare Chamasa Karnarandre Prashitramas Asye Grasane Grahastute Yacharvanamte Bhagavan Agnihotram. O Lord, your tongue is a plate of sacrifice. Your nostril is another plate of sacrifice. In your belly is the eating plate of sacrifice. And another plate of sacrifice is the holes of your ears. In your mouth is the Brahma plate of sacrifice. Your throat is the plate of sacrifice known as Soma. Now, whatever you chew is known as Agnihotra.
Okay. So what is this? As I mentioned, when we do a sacrifice, we need so many ingredients. Like even here, when we do a yajna, right? We have, first of all, if you see, I don't know if you have noticed, then when we do a yajna, we have at least like 2 different or 3 different kinds of spoons. The wooden ladle, you have seen that. So one ladle is one which has like a small opening at the end, right? So that ladle is actually called a shruvaha. Shruvaha means that ladle is used for offering ghee, right? Then there is another ladle which is actually a larger mouth ladle that is called shaka, right? So if you see the words shaka, tunda, right? Then asi, shruva, right? So shaka actually comes from tunda. Tunda means the tongue. Why the tongue? Because that is used to offer ghee, and the Lord accepts the ghee, right, as a tongue. So the shak comes from the tongue. Then shruva comes from the nasayor. Nasayor means nostrils. Ida means the vessel for eating. It comes from belly. I mean, it's so related. Vessel for eating come from the belly of the Lord. Then chamsaha and soma, right? So graha. So these 2 containers, like even, I don't know, like how, what all, see, that's the point that Prabhupada is actually making in the purport. That we perform these sacrifices, and we do not know like all these techniques. Actually, all of this is actually needed for a sacrifice. Like, first of all, we don't even have those 4 priests. Normally, just one priest, he does all the 4 actually. But there's supposed to be 4 priests, right? So here it says, even Prasitram, the vessel for Brahma. So one of the 4 priests is Brahma, right? So that priest has a separate vessel for offering, right? So that is that, and that comes from the Asya, mouth. Then Chamasaha and the Soma plates, Graha, they actually come from the holes and the throat. And the Agnihotram, he eats through sacrificial fire. That comes from Charvanam, the chewing of the Lord. So basically, different parts, aspects of the Yajna is coming from different parts of the Lord. Right? Now, Prabhupada, again, further, what do you, if you have not seen the purport, what do you think Prabhupada will actually make the point in this purport? After talking, yeah.
The only
Sacrifices are
sacrifice.
not possible in this age. Which
Yes.
elaborate.
Yeah, exactly, right? You can see that's Prabhupada's mood, that he'll actually make the point that, all these details, we perform, like I perform these yajnas. I don't even know like all these details about, what is Chamasaha, Soma plate, and then, Prasitram. We don't set up all these, right? But this yajna, actually, what we perform is important because, how Gopal Bhatta Goswami actually returned this, that, this yajna actually elevates our consciousness. And through the yajna, what are we doing? We are always chanting the name of Vishnu. Whenever we say Swaha, we say, Inam Vishnave Namaha Swaha. So all the names of the Lord. So it's all actually Harinam. We are chanting the name. Even doing yajna, we are all chanting the name of the Lord. Right? So Prabhupada says the Vedavadis that we discussed in the previous verse, they focus on there's nothing more than performance of this sacrifice. Even in India, maybe certain people, they are just attached to yajna. Nothing beyond that. And every day they say, oh, we have to do a yajna. Like we had gone to one family's house of Bhagavatam, and they had like a small, like a yajna kun. And said every day he'll do a yajna, like a small yajna, set up a fire and then put some offering, right? So Prabhupada is actually making the point here exactly. It says like they have recently made a rule in their group to formally observe daily sacrifice. They simply ignite the fire and whatever whimsically they know, they'll put it in the fire. Oh, swaha, they'll say, okay, yajna done. My duty is done. Today, I have done everything, my yajna. Now I can do whatever I want. So there's Prabhupada is actually criticizing these people and making the point that they are actually doing the yajna, not understanding the purpose of all the yajna. The purpose of the yajna is to worship Vishnu. And how do you do the yajna? Can you whimsically do something? No, you have to follow all the strict rules and regulations of doing the yajna. Otherwise, the yajna will not be successful. Right? So particularly in this age, first of all, like all this list, what we are reading, we don't have all this, So the technique and details of the yajna is lost. Right? First point. Second point, when the yajna is performed, the high level of cleanliness is required. We don't even follow that. I mean, we do the best we can, but the cleanliness is lost. Then third, the ingredients, like we get ghee from Indian store. How do you know how pure is that ghee? Don't even know how pure is that ghee. Many times they mix it with different kinds of oils or things like that. So the purity of the ingredients is lost, right? And then the intention, the motivation, that is lost, right? So that way, this yajna, and also like, the fire, we normally use like a matchbox or a lighter. But actually, you're supposed to chant mantras to invite the fire to actually start. The priest just used to chant mantras, and by chanting of the mantras, and the mantra is like so like perfect in pronunciation, that the fire used to start. Vishnu used to appear in the form of fire. So that all those techniques, all those details are actually lost. Therefore, Prabhupada said, in Kali Yuga, one should just perform what yajna? Only one yajna, Sankirtan yajna. Right? So that is our main thing. Yajna Sankirtan Praya Jayantihi Sumedasaha. Sumedasaha. Those who are intelligent, they will just perform Sankirtan yajna. Right? Right. So Prabhupada in the purport actually says that the whole purpose of yajna is to worship Yajneshwara, the Lord of Vishnu, who is Yajneshwara, who is supposed to be the recipient or the beneficiary of all this yajna. And So the main point is taking shelter of the Lord and rendering service unto him. So when you're doing a yajna, you want to take shelter of the Lord and you want to offer seva through the yajna. But these 2 points are actually lost, right? Hence only Sankirtan yajna. Okay, next 37.
Dikshanujanmopasadha shirodharam Tvam prayaniyo dayaniyadamstraha Jiva pravargyastava shirshakam pratoho Satyava satyam jitayo savohite.
Hare Krishna. Moreover, O Lord, the repetition of your appearance is the desire for all kinds of initiation. Your neck is the place for 3 desires, and your tusks are the result of initiation and the end of all desires. Your tongue is the prior activities of initiation. Your head is the fire without sacrifice, as well as the fire of worship, and your living forces are the aggregate of all desires.
Right. So we can just follow. I can just share my screen. So basically, I'll just have this from Subodhini. So basically, here it says how the repeated appearances of the Lord, Anu Janma, is actually referring the Diksha sacrifice or the initiation, the neck. And I was trying to understand, like, what does this mean, And I was thinking that, how when the Lord appears again and again in our life, then we actually take Diksha or sacrifice. Right? Anyway, that's my understanding. And then next is neck, Shiraha Dharam. Right? So it is Upasadha, the 3 desires, relationship, activities, and the ultimate goal. So all these are actually needed for a sacrifice. Like when you're doing the sacrifice, what are the desires? Why are you doing it? Like we have relationship with Vishnu, what are the activities, and what is the goal of the sacrifice? All that comes from the neck. Then from the Damstraha, the tusk, comes the sacrifice after initiation and the final sacrifice, which is the end of all desires. And from tongue, you have Pravargyaha, prior activities of initiation. From the head, you have this Kritu and Avastham, Avas, Avasatham, Satyam. So Satya and Avasatyam. So the fire without worship, without sacrifice, and the fire of sacrifice. And then Asavaha, living force, is Chittaya, the aggregate of all desires. Right? So this is all comes from different parts of the Lord. Okay. Let's see, Prabhupada does not give a purport to this, right? Okay, so let's continue.
Somastureta savananya vistitihi samsta vibedastava deva dhatavaha satrani sarvani sharira sandhis tvam sarva yagya kratur ishti bandanaha.
O Lord, your semen is a sacrifice called Soma Yagya. Your growth is the ritualistic performance of the morning. Your skin and touch sensation are the 7 elements of the Agnistoma sacrifice. Your bodily joints are symbols of various other sacrifices performed in the 12 days. Therefore, you are the object of all sacrifices called the Soma and Asoma, and you are bound by Yagyas only.
So again, this is all technical details of sacrifice. I'm not sure. Like I don't have this knowledge of Tvam Sarva Yagya and Krituhu, that you're the object of all sacrifices. Soma and Asomaha. Then it says 7 dhatus. 7 dhatus is basically all the ingredients of the body. So the ingredients of the body reference the 7 elements of Agnishtoma sacrifice. So Prabhupada in the purport, he lists these 7. He says there are 7 kinds of routine yagyas performed by all followers of Vedic rituals, and they are called Agnishtoma, Atyagnishtoma, Uktaha, Sodashi, Vajapay, Atiratra, and Aptror Yama. Right? So these are 7 he lists. And then further he says, and then the bodily joints are the Shastra sacrifice done over 12 days. The growth is the morning rituals. The semen is the Soma Yagya. But the interesting point in purport, Prabhupada says, anyone who is in contact with the Supreme Lord by discharging devotional service is understood to have performed all different varieties of yagyas. What does this mean? Anyone who is in contact with the Supreme Lord by discharging devotional service. What does this mean to you? You know, like to explain.
Prabhuji, I feel that for all activities, our goal is to have that relationship with the Lord, that connection with the Lord we are trying to achieve.
Okay. Okay. Further? Something more?
Devotional service means we are performing all sacrifices.
Okay. Yeah,
For,
devotional
for,
service
for the
means
pleasure of the Lord.
doing
Hmm?
all sacrifice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Indirectly, we are doing all sacrifices.
Okay. Yeah. Just by performing devotional service, everything is achieved.
Yeah.
That's actually the definition of firm faith. Faith means what? Shraddha Shabde Vishwasa Kore Sudhride Hriday Krishna Bhakti Kaile Sarva Karma Krita Hai. Just by engaging in Krishna Bhakti, Sarva Karma, all these different karmas, all these rituals, everything is satisfied. We don't need to separately focus on that. What else? So, see, one understanding, I'll give you one more point here. Here it says, anyone who is in contact with the Lord through bhakti is understood to have performed all these sacrifices. So, one way of understanding is that after one has done for so many lifetime different kinds of sacrifices, then finally, when all his pious graces have matured, then he becomes qualified to take up devotional service. And I was thinking about this point, that this point is actually so important, that maybe like so many lifetimes we have been doing some kind of yajna, some kind of austerity, and finally this lifetime we got the opportunity to come in contact with a pure devotee and attain the highest pure devotional service. So that means that having come in contact with devotional service, so bhakti means we are directly chanting the name of the Lord, Hare Krishna, right? Directly we are coming in contact. But that direct contact cannot be done by anyone unless one has performed all these rituals and so many yajnas and all this, and finally come to the point that, okay, now all your pious graces have matured to a stage where you can take up bhakti. So this is one point. But still, I have to complete this by saying that bhakti is still independent. Right? Even a person like Mrigrari the hunter, who was so sinful, still he got bhakti. So bhakti is independent. But in general, it is said that only after one does all these, accumulates power, and then he's qualified to perform bhakti. And bhakti is independent; it can come to anyone. Okay, is that point okay?
Isn't it that only we can get bhakti from the bhakta, from the
Yeah.
devotee? It doesn't matter how much rituals we do.
Yes, so we get bhakti only from a bhakta, but it is also the concept of agyata sukriti, right? When we actually do agyata sukriti, right? There's a kind of sukriti where unknowingly we do something, right? So that when that accumulates, then one qualifies to engage in bhakti. Like, people come in contact with the devotee. Like so many people came in contact with Prabhupada. At the airport, Prabhupada used to come, and it's amazing when you see the videos of Prabhupada at the airport. It's like you don't see anyone else. You see, like everywhere, the whole airport is covered by devotees. And where is everyone else? They're probably like just pushed to the side, and the whole airport, there's so many devotees, and Prabhupada comes walking down, and everyone's doing Harinam. Imagine the whole airport, like people are like jumping in the air, and like full airport is covered with like devotees chanting. So, yeah, so many people have come in contact with Prabhupada. But how many of them actually took the process of devotional service? So Prabhupada is giving that bhakti seed to everyone. He's willing to give it. But our heart has to be fertile to receive the seed. So when we actually perform agyata sukriti, and when that accumulates, then our heart becomes favorable to even take up the next step of sadhana bhakti. So the Bhakti Lata beach is there. Yes, we can get it only by mercy of devotee, for sure. Right? Bhakti comes only from devotee. But our heart has to be fertile to receive that seed.
So, Vijay, I have a question. These prayers by the sages, why they are so technical to Varaha? Is there any purpose behind them?
Because, see, the main point they are actually saying that Varaha is the embodiment of all yajna, sacrifice. Right? So they are saying that because the sages of the higher planetary system, their main focus is to do yajna. Right? So hence they are saying that every aspect of the yajna is actually coming from you, Vishnu. And then if you see the last line also in this verse, he says, iti bandhanaha. that basically you are bound by yajnas only. So one can say that these prayers are not at the stage of like, the highest, the pure devotional service, in the sense that, they're talking of by performing different yajna, one can actually worship the Lord. Okay.
Correct. Prabhu, one question.
Yes, bro.
Yeah, so you mentioned about Agyat Sukruti, right? So regarding Jagai Madai, like a sinful personality, they also had Agyat Sukruti to receive the Nityanand's mercy.
So see, the point is, I already mentioned that, Hum Rigrari, right? Or Jagai Madai. Even if person does not have any background, a mercy of a pure devotee is so powerful that it can just, that's why we say kripa, right? You get that kripa from the Lord. And because of the kripa, that person is able to take devotional service. So how one conversation, like, the same point was there. And it was being discussed, Prabhupada, with his disciples, And the disciple was asking, Prabhupada, it says that, only after performing sacrifices for so many lifetimes, one can actually take up devotional service. But then the disciple said, but our life, we have been, we grew up eating meat, that's the word, eating cows, that's our whole diet, whole life, right? We've done all sinful activities, lust, illicit sex, drugs, that's what is our life. So where did we do any pious credits that we have actually come in contact with you and have engaged in devotional service? Then what did Prabhupada say? I created your pious credits to take up bhakti. So the pious credits one way leads us to a platform where we can engage in bhakti, but Prabhupada is making the point that I even took care of that. I created your pious credits, so now you can actually engage in devotional service. So mercy of a devotee is so powerful that all the other requirements are actually nullified. You don't have to do anything. Just if you come in contact with pure devotee. That's why our Shastras praise this point so much. Lava matra sadhu sangha sarva siddhi hoy. All your, like, so many lifetimes of yajna, nothing, you don't need to do anything. Just come in association with devotee, all your requirements are fulfilled and you're qualified to engage in devotional service. So that's the power of association of pure devotee. And that's why in Bhagavatam, 2 shlokas repeat twice. One of them is what? Tulyamam lavyapi. What's the second line? Tulyamam lavyapi. Anyone knows this verse? I know this verse. The last chapter of first canto. Yeah. 118:13, right? So it says, Tulayama lavenapi na swargam na punam. Yes, na swargam na punam. Bhagavad sangi sangasya martanyam kiv utashisha. This is the value of moments associated with devotee cannot even be compared to na swargam na punarbhavam. So not swarga loka, na punarbhavam, not liberation, right? So what to talk of any material thing? Bhagavad sangi sangasya, that association with a pure devotee, that's it. That's cannot be compared to anything. So this verse is basically saying Tulayama means a weighing scale. In India, we see that. You go to buy any shabji, they have a weighing scale. They'll put weight and they'll say, okay, adha kilo. They'll put half kg here, they'll put the shabji, right? So here is saying, even if you put on one side, Swarga Loka, liberation, all material credits, and then on the other side, a moment associated with pure devotee. Still, no comparison. Your weighing scale will break because one side is too heavy, other side is no weight, right? So that's the comparison. So that's why the association of devotees is so precious. Okay.
Can I ask one question? So you said that our heart needs to, well, the general process is our heart needs to be fertile to receive the seed, and it becomes fertile through Agyata Sukriti. And then you also said that we may have, the usual process is we do these rituals in previous lives, and that's how we've come to the point of bhakti. So the rituals are Agyata Sukriti? Like all these pious activities, is that Agyata Sukriti?
So there are different kinds of sukritis. Right? Chaitanya Charitamrita actually explains karma unmukha sukriti, gyan unmukha sukriti, and then bhakti unmukha sukriti. So 3 are actually explained. And karma unmukha sukriti is actually those from yagyas. Jnana unmukha sukriti is someone is doing jnana yoga, and then by that he gets credits. But having these two, right, is not enough for one to actually take up devotional service. There has to be bhakti unmukha sukriti that actually finally leads one to actually take up devotional service. So that bhakti unmukha sukriti means what? That just like, a devotee is going through the airport and someone comes and just like holds the door for a devotee. Oh, your bag is so heavy. Can I help you? And unknowingly he helps a devotee or comes in contact with a devotee. Or anyway, like you're in the food market, right? Someone comes and just like offers you some help. What is he doing? Unknowingly, he's serving a devotee of the Lord. Right? I'll tell you one short story that happened during the December marathon. Right? So we were at the post office and we were mailing out books, to prisons and different hospitals. So we had few boxes of books. So we were standing in line, right? And it was the holiday season, Christmas season, right? So we were there and we had these books, and we came to the counter and we said, okay, these books needs to be mailed out. She did the bill, and she said, the person ahead of you has already paid for you, just like a holiday gift. Imagine, they do that sometimes, like a token of gesture. They say, okay, I'll pay for the next person. And she paid for all those books. Imagine how much spiritual benefit she gets. She's getting Sankirtan, she's actually distributing books, And she paid for the whole thing. And we were like so shocked, that, who does such a thing? And, it wasn't just cheap, mailing these books is expensive. But she paid. So imagine how much Sukriti she got. So that kind of Sukriti, which is actually connected with devotional service, particularly like, distributing books, so pleasing. For sure, some credits, you'll get that amazing credit of taking up devotional service. And also that famous story that Shrutakirti Prabhu says, right? Story that how Prabhupada was on a flight, right? They were traveling on the flight, and then Shrutakirti Prabhu was right next to Prabhupada, and they were serving Prabhupada the prasadam, and they had this puffed rice, So Prabhupada was eating, and then an air hostess came down, and she saw and said, wow, what is this? It looks so good. And directly from Prabhupada's plate, she actually took that maha of Prabhupada and she put it in her mouth. Imagine how much, getting the maha of a pure devotee, like Srila Prabhupada, she just picked it up and she put it in her mouth. And everyone was like, the Shrutakirti Prabhupada and there was one more devotee, they were just shocked. How come, like, she got so much mercy? The remnants of a pure devotee? And then the story does not stop there. She's so fortunate she got that remnants. And she was very favorable, and she actually said, oh, can I bring you some milk, some fruits? And she actually did service to a pure devotee, not knowing that this is a pure devotee. Showed so much benefit. And then later on, years later, some book distributors, it's in South America somewhere, the book distributors were actually going door to door. They knocked on a door, and then one lady opens and she said, wow, you're devotees of Krishna? And she was like, they were like, what? Devotees of Krishna? Like, we are just in an unknown place and knocking door to door, and someone is like, you knock the door and they say, oh, you're devotees of Krishna. So they were shocked. How does she know? She said, no, please come inside. And she called the book distributor inside. And all inside her house is all like photos of Krishna. She has the altar of Krishna, And it was like, they were shocked. They said, like, how? How do you know about Krishna? And then she told the story that how she was this air hostess on the plane. And she actually got this remnants of food. She met Prabhupada. And by that, she actually, though she did not have any devotee association, in her house, she had an altar. She was reading Prabhupada's books. She was chanting 16 rounds. She was doing everything with no other devotee association. So just see that one moment of devotee association, and that's it. She's become a devotee now. So powerful is the association of devotees. So that bhakti unmukha sukriti is that which actually ripens onto a person taking up. Okay, so
I
Continue.
want to share that during the last MSF door-to-door book distribution, remember a Christian family, they were very pious people. They opened the door and they didn't take the book, but they gave donation.
They get donation, yes. Okay, so let's continue. Text number
Yeah.
30.
Hare Krishna.
Yes,
I have
ma'am.
sorry to interrupt. Prabhuji, so correct me if I'm wrong. Like, so bhakti is independent, but you said if we have agyata sukriti, then the heart will be ripened enough to receive bhakti from the bhakta. But that is not essential, right? That is not mandatory.
Yeah.
If we are in contact with
It is
pure
causeless,
devotees,
yeah.
yeah, Prabhupada, so
Yeah.
agyata sukriti is not essential. Bhakta can create agyata sukriti as well.
Yes.
Very nice. Very nice. Thank you, Prabhuji.
39.
Namo namaste kila mantra devata dravyaya sarva kartave kriyatmane vairagya bhaktiyat majayanubhavita jnanaya vidya guruve namo namaha.
Hare Krishna. O Lord, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead and are worshipable by universal prayers, Vedic hymns, and sacrificial ingredients. We offer our obeisances unto you. You can be realized by the pure mind freed from all visible and invisible material contamination. We offer our respectful obeisances to you as the Supreme Spiritual Master of Knowledge in devotional service. Hare Krishna.
So, so to like Vrindavan Vilasnimati asked this question, that how come they are praising the Lord through sacrifices? The main thing is sacrifice. Here again we see the same word, Nama Namaha. So they're offering obeisances to you, right? And then what is that you? They're elaborating. They're saying first one is Akhila Mantra. That means the Lord who is actually worshipable by mantra. Mantra means different prayers. So by all the different prayers and Vedic hymns, this is finally the Lord who is to be worshipped. Then Dravyaya, Dravya, we have heard that word before, right? Dravya. So that Dravya means ingredients. Through all the ingredients of the Yajna, the Lord is to be worshipped. Okay, so that's the 2 points. Then the next, the main, the 2 sub points, and next second point is Sarva Kritvave Kriyat Mane. That means you are the supreme form of all kinds of sacrifices. The form of all kinds of sacrifices is actually you. You are that Yajna personified, Yajneshwara, right? Then Vairagya Bhaktya Atma Jaya Anubhavita, right? So you are actually perceived by conquering the mind by renunciation, bhakti, and vairagya. Right? Why do we hear these 2 words, bhakti and vairagya? Vairagya and bhakti. Okay. So you can think about that. And then the 4th point is Gyaya Vidya Guruve. That you are actually the supreme spiritual Guruve. You are the spiritual master of all Vidya, of all knowledge. Right? So in that way, they actually say Nama Nama. So the verse starts with Nama Nama, ends with Nama Nama. And the 4 points, they actually say they glorify the Lord. You're worshipable through universal prayers, Vedic hymns, ingredients. You are actually a supreme form of all kinds of sacrifice. You can be perceived only with mind, which is actually purified by renunciation, vairagya, and bhakti. And finally, you are actually the supreme spiritual master of all knowledge. Okay. So in the purport, Prabhupada says, what is the qualification of bhakti? Is that the devotee should be free from all material contaminations and desires. So what does the first line mean to you? The qualification of bhakti to the Lord is that the devotee should be free from all material contamination and desire. Is everyone here?
Anarth nivritti, huh?
So is everyone here doing bhakti? Yes? Okay. Trying? Okay. To be safe, you're saying trying. But and then here it says if everyone is doing bhakti, but the qualification to do bhakti means you are free from all material contamination and desires. So everyone here is free from all material contamination and desire. Then what does this line mean? The qualification of bhakti to the Lord is that the devotee should be The qualification is one must, one should be free from this. Right? So actually, if you see, the main point here is because our line, we are talking of what is our definition of bhakti? Anya bhilashita sunyam jnana karmani anavritam. Right? We are talking of pure devotion service. So our school, right? Our school of bhakti is the school of pure bhakti. Right? Not everyone else is in the school of pure bhakti. Very rare, extremely rare. Someone is in the school of pure bhakti. We are in the school of pure bhakti. So when you talk of pure bhakti, then it should be what? Anya bhilasita sunyam. No material desire, right? No material contamination, no desire. Then we are actually really performing pure bhakti. So what are we doing now? So hence Nectar of Devotion says, this is sadhana. We are practicing to actually come to the stage of bhakti. So we are just practicing. Right? And the sadhana bhakti itself is, now we are doing Vaidhi bhakti, following the rules and regulations. And then we are going to practice what? Raganuga bhakti. Even Raganuga bhakti is a stage of practice. You know? So imagine a state of pure bhakti. That is when you come to Bhava Prem, then that is, pure bhakti. But so Prabhupada is making the point. So qualification bhakti means free from all material contamination and desire. Right? And this freedom is called Vairagya. So what are the verses for Jnana and Vairagya? Vasudeva Bhagavati, Bhakti Yoga. Was it?
First canto.
Yes.
Janayati
Janayati
asu.
asu Vairagyam, Jnanam Charyat Ahitukam. Right? Jnanam Charyat Ahitukam. Right? So that's verse. And the other verse is Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yoga. Right? So Sarvam Bhattacharya is saying, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you actually came to teach what? Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yoga. So both Bhakti and Vairagya, you have actually personally come. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Sharira Dhari Kripam Buddhi Tamaham Papate. I worship that Lord Krishna who's actually come as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to teach us Vairagya and Bhakti. So that's the point. And then Prabhupada says, one who engages in devotional service according to regulated principles. So what is Prabhupada referring here? According to regulated principles is automatically freed from material desires. See, if you see the first line, qualification bhakti is what? Free from all desire. Then second sentence here, one who engages in bhakti according to rules and regulations will be freed from all desire. So first line is referring to pure bhakti. Second is sadhana. Right? So if you carefully read Prabhupada's purport, you will see Prabhupada is actually talking of this stage of pure bhakti and sadhana bhakti, and then coming to Raganuga bhakti, and then pure bhakti. Okay, and then Prabhupada says, so here further he says, regarding the Lord instructs the devotee regarding pure devotional service so that he may ultimately achieve the association of the Lord. And this is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, Tesham Satata Yuktanam Bhajatam Priti Purvakam. So this Priti Purvakam is what? Pure devotional service, right? Then what does the Lord do? He actually gives us instructions in our heart. Okay. So without bhakti, one cannot understand the Lord. Okay, text 40.
Damshtragrakotya bhagavam stvaya dhrita virajate bhudhara bhusabhudhara yathavanani sarato datadrita matan gajendrasya sapatra padmini.
Hare Krishna. O lifter of the earth with its mountains, which you have lifted with your tusks, is situated as beautifully as a lotus flower, with leaves sustained by an infuriated elephant just coming out of the water. Hare Krishna.
A very nice verse. It says, so it says Bhudava, right? Bhudava. Right. Okay. So he says Bhudara. Bhudara means O lifter of the earth. Bhudara, one who actually takes the earth. Bhu. Bhagwan, O personality of God. Then he says Damsra Agra, the tips of the tusk. Right? So we talked of this Damsra, the tusk. And then what you have done? Trayadrita, you have sustained. Vira Jate, the beautiful situated Bhu Sa Bhudara. Right? So what is the main point here? That you have actually situated the earth, which is so beautiful, right? Sitting on your tusk. So now they are actually talking of the good fortune of the earth, and they are giving an example. Yatha, as much as Vanat Nisarataha. So when an elephant, and particularly it says an infuriated elephant, when an elephant is angry and is coming out of the water, and then by its trunk is actually lifting a lotus on its on its trunk, and your form just appears like that, right? So the earth is compared to what? The lotus. And the lotus has what? It has these the lotus buds and stalks. What are they compared to? The mountains. The earth has mountains, right? High and low. So similarly, like the lotus has high and low. So similarly, this earth has high and low. So here is saying that the earth which is situated on the tusk looks so beautiful. And when you think about this, an infuriated elephant holding a lotus, what comes to your mind?
Gajendra.
Gajendra, right? Gajendra Leela. So in that way, they're comparing that you look so beautiful, right? So the earth is so fortunate. Shashi is actually situated on your nose. Okay, 41.
त्रयीमयं रूपमिदं च शोकरं भूमण्डलेनातदृतेन ते चकास्ति शृङ्गोधगनेन भूयसा कुलाचलेन्द्रस्य यथैव विभ्रमः.
Translation Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Lord Varaha ki jai. O Lord, as the peaks of great mountains become beautiful when decorated with clouds, your transcendental body has become beautiful because of your lifting the earth on the edge of your tusk. Hare Krishna.
So this was a very beautiful verse. It says, Idam Trai Mayam Rupam. Right? So this Trai Mayam Rupam, what is Trai Maya? That means Vedas personified. Your form is that of Vedas personified. And then next it says, Shokaram Bhu Mandalena Atha Data Dritena. So just like Varaha, as a form of Varaha, you have actually sustained the earth on your tusk, and your form is Te Chakasti, is glowing now. So they're seeing the form of the Lord and saying how your form of the Lord is glowing. And what is the comparison here? So here also they compare. Shringa Udha Ganena Kula Achala Indrasya. Just like, you may see a big mountain, right? I'm sure everyone has this experience. And you may appreciate, oh, it looks so good. But when there clouds are there over the mountain, then it looks even more beautiful, right? But is the mountain as such holding the cloud? One way the cloud is there and the mountain is there, right? So similarly, here it's actually said that how the mountain becomes more beautiful when it's decorated by clouds. Similarly, you, O Lord, have become more beautiful because you are actually sustaining the earth on your tusk, right? Does a mountain need to hold the cloud? No. So similarly, it's not necessary for the Lord to hold this earth, but by doing so, he's become so beautiful. So 2 points are said. The Lord becomes beautiful, and second, the devotee becomes beautiful. So here they are saying, even Mother Earth, you have become beautiful because you are sustained by the Lord. And the Lord has become beautiful because he is connected with you. Right? So, this brings us to the point that, when you see a photo of Krishna, okay, let's say Lord Ramchandra, right? You may see a photo of Lord Ramchandra. It's so beautiful, right? You can see and appreciate the beauty of Lord Ram. But then, let's say that's your first slide, a photo of Lord Ramchandra. And then the next slide is a photo of Lord Ramchandra with Hanuman, and they are embracing each other. Right? Which one actually attracts your heart more? When Lord Ramchandra and Hanuman, they are embracing each other, then immediately you feel like, wow, so much emotion. Hanumanji, who is a servant of the Lord, is actually served so nicely. The Lord is so pleased, and then hence the Lord is embracing. Right? So when the Lord is actually reciprocating with the devotee, like here how Varahadev has reciprocated with the earth, then the devotee becomes beautiful, the Lord becomes beautiful. Though he is always all beautiful, but he becomes more beautiful when he's connected with his devotee. Right? So that's the point in this verse. So they say just like a mountain will appear more beautiful when there's clouds. So clouds look more beautiful, mountain looks more beautiful. So similarly, your form is glowing because you actually have the earth on your tusk. Any other examples you can think of this? I'll give you one more example. So Krishna's form is all beautiful, right? But then you see the form of Krishna with Sudama, right? And you see Sudama, how it is described, that when he came, he was all like his all clothes were all torn. He was like so poor that all his like ribs, you can see the ribs on his body, like such a poor condition. But when he is seen in front of Krishna, then both of them so beautiful. And then we have the painting of Krishna, like who's washing the feet of Sudama. Imagine when you see that, oh, it like brings tears to your eyes. That Krishna, the supreme personality of God, is washing the feet of Sudama. Was like a poor brahmana who doesn't even have clothes to wear. That brings out our bhakti. Any examples you can think of?
Lord Nrsimhadev and Prahlad.
Yeah, Lord Nrsimhadev and Prahlad. This is like 3 days away from Narasimha Chaturdashi, so we can actually meditate. The form of the Lord, like so fearsome. But then you see a small little boy coming and offering, like we have the painting, like he's holding a garland like this to offer to Narasimhadev, right? So sweet. And immediately, Lord is glorified and the devotee is glorified. Both of them together look so beautiful. Okay, text 42.
Samsthapayainam jagatam satashtusham lokaya patnim asimataram pita vidhema chasyai namasa sahatvaya yasyam swatejognim ivaranavada.
O Lord, for the residential purposes of all inhabitants, both moving and non-moving, this earth is your wife, and you are the Supreme Father. We offer our respectful obeisances unto you, along with Mother Earth, in whom you have invested your own potency, just as an expert sacrificer puts fire in the Arani wood.
So what is this example here? So it says, so first part is samsthapaya enam. You have raised the earth, who is like your wife, right? And we know who was born from this pastime, Varahadev, and then Bhu, right? Mother Earth, right? In South Indian temples, you go, they actually worship this form, right? Mother Earth with Vishnu, right? This energy of the Lord. And then through this, who appeared?
Bhaumasura.
Bhaumasura. Yeah, and then Bhaumasura, Narakasura, yeah, that's the name. And then the son was born. So he is here, the earth is the Patnim. Patnim is the wife. And then he says, Jagatam sa Tashtusham Lokaya. And why did the Lord lift the earth or get married one way to earth? Because to provide residence for both moving and non-moving living beings. To provide a residence for both the moving and non-moving living beings, the earth has accepted, the Lord has accepted the earth as his wife. Right? And then further they say, Mataram Pita. So now they are the husband and wife. But who is the children? They're saying, we are the children. So hence they are addressing Mata and Pita. Right? Mata, Pita. Right? So Mataram Pita Vidhema. We offer to you, along with Mother Earth, our namasa, all obeisances to you, to our father and mother, right? And then Yasyam Swatejaha. And in Mother Earth, you have invested your potency. So what potency did the Lord invest in Mother Earth? Swateja, his own potency is actually invested in Mother Earth, just like an expert sacrificer can take a piece of wood and bring fire in the wood. Right? As I mentioned that the yagyas, when they do yagyas, they just chant mantras, and through the mantras, then they ignite the fire in the wood. Similarly, you have invested your own potencies in Mother Earth. What is the potency? So one way to understand this is the potency is, Prabhupada talks of the law of gravity. Right? How is Mother Earth floating? That is because the Lord has invested his potency. That's why Mother Earth is floating. Right? That is one. Then second explanation one can give is, how is Mother Earth nourishing us? Right? We are getting vegetables, we are getting minerals, we are getting water. Everything we need is coming from Mother Earth. But who is giving this? Because the Lord has invested potencies in Mother Earth. She is actually nourishing all of us, and hence she is our mother. She's our mother, right? So in that way, the Lord has invested his potencies in the earth. Right? So Prabhupada talks about how the law of gravity is actually the potency of the earth. Right? And then Prabhupada also say how the conditioned souls are put in the womb of Mother Earth. Right? What is the shloka one can think about this? Bhagavad Gita.
Aham bija pradapita.
Yes. So here it says, Sarva yoneshu konteya murtaya sambhavantiya tasam brahma mahad yone aham bija prada. So the Lord is the one who's giving the seed, right? The seed. And who's accepting the seed? Here Mother Earth is accepting the seed, and hence we are actually being nourished, right? And Prabhupada makes another interesting point. He says people are so fond. They say, oh, for our land, right? In India, like, 70 years back, right? Freedom fighters, right? And it's like, oh, for our motherland, we will give our life. Who is that? Was it Bhagat Singh? He said, तुम मुझे खून दो, मैं तुम्हें आजादी दूंगा. So that's a Hindi, that was a slogan. That basically he said that you give me blood, I will give you freedom. Right? So that means sacrifice your life for this Mother Earth, and then we can get freedom. But Prabhupada is making a very interesting point. If you're really a son, then you should not only worship your mother, that is okay, but you should worship the mother with the father. Right? That's a true son. He will not worship the mother alone. So along with worshipping your motherland, you should also worship the father, who's Vishnu. So all these freedom fighters, to all of them who are so attached to your land, okay, you're accepting the land, that's fine, but don't forget the father, who's actually Vishnu. That's a nice point. Huh? But actually, and one of these freedom fighters, like, I was out on book distribution and I gave a book to this one person, and he said, like, oh, I'm an atheist. And I've not found anyone who could defeat the one of these freedom fighters had written a book on why he's an atheist. I forget, was it Bhagat Singh or one of these freedom fighters? And he said, like, I've read that book and I'm convinced that there is no God. I mean, like, the whole concept of no God is like almost, it appears foolish. Who created this Mother Earth? Who's giving the seeds? Right? So that way, right? So it's a nice point to talk about, like, Jiva are devoted to motherland, but they are not independent. So Srimad Bhagavatam teaches us to offer obeisances to the mother along with the father. Right? So don't forget the father. 43.
Prabhuji, did he accepted the book, Prabhu, or no?
No, Prabhu, he didn't accept the book. Like, I didn't know much about that to defeat his point, but I actually told him that, whatever points you have, he said, like, I didn't find anyone who could defeat it. I said, the Bhagavad Gita is going to defeat all your points. Every point you have will be smashed to pieces if you take this book. I didn't know. And then he was also busy with his child, he had a small baby, so he was like kind of disturbed. I couldn't have a good conversation with him. But, okay, 43.
Kashradhatitan yatatmastava prabho rasam gataya bhuva udvibharhanam na vishmayo so tvai vishva vishmaye yo maya yedam sasrijeti vishmayam.
Who else but you, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, could deliver the earth from within the water? It is not very wonderful for you. However, you acted most wonderfully in the creation of the universe. By your energy, you have created this wonderful cosmic manifestation.
Okay, so this verse is, we see one word which comes again and again. What is that? Vishmaya. Right? Vishmaya. 3 times it comes. Vishmaya means the one wonderful. Right? So is it wonderful that the Lord has appeared as Varaha and picked up the earth? Is it? Yes or no?
For us, it is wonderful.
Okay, Father, this is wonderful. So here they are saying, Kaha, who else can actually perform such a task other than you, oh Lord, who can actually take this form of Varaha and go down into the water and pick up the. Who else can do it? No one else can do it. It's only you, the Lord. But he says, Na Vishmayaha. This is not wonderful for you. Everyone just said this is wonderful, right? But the pages are saying this is not wonderful. Why? Why they are saying Na Vishmayaha? This is not, however, this is not very wonderful for you. Why? Because just through your insignificant energies, you have actually done this whole aspect of creation, which is so wondrous. So what is there for you to actually accept a form of Varaha and pick up the earth? The entire creation is actually a wonder. So this is just a spark of your wonder. So in that way, it's, one way that's also a glorification. Someone does something really big, and you say, wow, this is nice. But for you, what is there? You actually can do this whole thing. You just did one drop here. So that way they are glorifying the Lord. So they're saying this aspect itself is a spark of your wonder. So hence it is how glorious you are, right? So it says Ati Vishmaya. You have created this Vishwa, which is actually Ati Vishmaya, which surpasses all wonders. So hence what you have done is not so wondrous in the sense, again, glorification, right? And Prabhupada says something, makes a point in purport. He says, scientists, they discover something, right? And everyone says, it's wonderful. They say, wow, so nice. They created this iPhone. And now, from the previous model was this size, and then they reduced it by 0.1 millimeter. What wonder. I mean, it seems so like, what does it matter? Your cell phone is like 0.05 millimeter thinner. Like, what's the big deal? Anyway, for them, it's like, oh, so wondrous. But one who's a devotee, he'll be actually saying, oh, yeah, it is wonderful. But the more wonderful is the person who created your brain who could actually do this wonder. Right? Who's given us the brain to do all this? The person who's really, has the knowledge will appreciate the person who's given us the brain to do any amazing things, right? So again, coming back to Krishna. So learned Krishna conscious person knows well that behind the cosmic manifestation is the brain of Krishna, right? Who is the brain? Who is that person who has given all these brains? Imagine the brain of that person, right? So that's the point. Therefore, a devotee is not astonished to see the wonderful form because he knows the Lord is able to act far more wonderfully just through his energies, through his potencies. What is a nice story here, one can say? Like the story of the Brahmana and the cobbler. Right? You all know the story, right? How the Narad Muni actually, he comes and then the cobbler, he tells the cobbler, oh, the Lord is passing an elephant through the eye of a needle. And what does the cobbler say? Oh, my Lord is so great. And Narad says, how can you believe that the Lord would do that? And he says, what does he say? When the Lord has done this magic that just in one seed, small seed, he's put unlimited number of trees. Like imagine those big trees, a full banyan tree or this huge tree, just put it inside a small seed. If the Lord can do that, then why can't he actually pass an elephant through an eye of a needle? So that's that kind of faith and devotion. Okay, 44. Let's see how far are we. Okay, 2 more verses, then we can take a break.
Vidunvata vedamayam nijam vapur janastapasatya nivasino vayam shatashiko dhuta shivam bhubindubhir vimrijyamana vrisham isha pavitaha.
The Supreme Lord, undoubtedly, we are inhabitants of the most pious planets, the Jana, Tapas, and Satyalokas. But still, we have been purified by the drops of water sprinkled from your shoulder hairs, by the shaking of your body.
So I mentioned this point earlier, right? When a dog or animal goes into water, then comes back, and all the hair is wet. Then what do? It just shakes, and then all the hairs fall, right? So now, if a hog comes, like in Vrindavan, you see all these hogs. They go and they are always in this, like the dirty waters and the drainage. They are there, and then come up this all like black, that when they shake, you don't want to be close to that person. It's like, oh, if I get touched by that, then I better go take a shower. Otherwise, how will I enter the temple? Right? But when the Lord, in the form of a boar, shakes his body, then all the sages, headed by Brahma, is saying just that water that's come from the shaking of your body, from the shoulder hair, by that we have become purified. Even though they are the most pious, they are saying we have become purified by that water. Prabhupada makes a point that there is no difference between Ganga, which is coming from the toe of the Lord, and the water which is coming from the shoulder, because the entire form of the Lord is transcendental. Right? So they have actually one way that water coming from the Lord has purified them. Now, this verse also, another very beautiful point here is that yes, previous verse, what did they say? Are they astonished or not astonished?
Both.
Both. Okay. So one way they're not astonished that Varaha has come because you have, done such astonishing things like created this world. But now in this verse, they are saying, what is the real astonishment? Even for us as our life, what can we say? The real astonishing thing is that, yes, the Lord is unlimited. He can do anything, so many potencies. He can do anything he likes. He can appear in the form of Varaha. He can lift the earth. All that he can do. But the real astonishing thing is that the Lord, who is unlimited with all his glories and opulences, is actually showing mercy upon me, who I am so insignificant. That is the most astonishing thing. That, what am I in front of the Lord? Right? How many parts and parcels of the Lord are there? Vibhinamsas? Unlimited. Right? Unlimited. And still, out of those unlimited jivas, somehow the Lord is showing mercy upon me. What could be more astonishing than this? Right? So this is the real astonishing thing that the sages are saying. Right? And yeah, so your form as made up of personified Vedas and are Vayam. So Janaha, Tapaha, Satya. All the inhabitants of Janaha, Tapa, and Satya have been purified just by their sprinkling of the water from your body. Okay, one more verse.
645. Savaibata prashtamatista vaishyate ya karmanam paramapara karmanaha yad yogamaya guna yoga mohitam vishvam samastam bhagavan videhisham.
O Lord, there is no limit to your transcendental activities. Anyone who desires to know the limit of your activities is certainly nonsensical. Everyone in this world is conditioned by the powerful mystic potencies. Please bestow your causeless mercy upon these conditioned souls. Hare Krishna.
So now this is the last verse that they speak, right? So 45, what is that? Swa vai bata. Alas, like aho bata sopachatu tu gariyan, right? Again, that bata. Oh, alas, expression of surprise, right? And then brishta matihi. So Prabhupada often in lectures, he says nonsense. All these, people are rascals and nonsense. And here we see the Sanskrit word for nonsense. Brishta matihi. Your matihi means your intelligence is lost. Right? So what are they saying? Alas, those people, their intelligence is lost. They are nonsense. Who are they? Who actually say that karmanam param. They say that we know the Lord. We know the activities of the Lord. And that person is a nonsense. The person who says that I know that limit of the unlimited Lord, that person is certainly a nonsense. Right? Why? Because the Lord is apara karmanha. He has unlimited activities. So if someone says that unlimited Lord to be limited, then certainly he is nonsense. Right? And then further they say, the sages say, yad yoga maya guna yoga mohitam. So it's very nice. So if you see yoga maya, right? You have heard this word yoga maya, right? And the other one is guna maya, right? Or mahamaya, right? So what are the two? Yoga maya is to whom? The pure devotees, right? The pure devotee in the spiritual world, they are covered by the yoga maya potency. Hence, Mother Yashoda, when she sees Krishna, says, "Oh, Krishna? He's just my small child. If I don't feed him, then he'll start crying. I have to give him butter. So they are covered by Yogamaya. And who is covered by Gunamaya? Us. We are covered by Maya, which is by the three modes of material nature, right? So both those in the spiritual world who are covered by Yoga Maya and those in the Vishwam, that is in this material world, are covered by Guna Maya. Both of them have actually forgotten themselves and forgotten you, right? Both of them have forgotten themselves. Mother Yashoda does not know that she is actually an expansion of Krishna, and she's forgotten Krishna as a supreme personality. We have forgotten Krishna, and we have forgotten ourselves also. So both of them, one submerged in sweetness, one submerged in material happiness and suffering, both of them are actually covered by our potencies. And here the Lord is saying, the sages are saying, Bhagwan Videhi Sam. O Supreme Personality of Godhead, be pleased to bestow your good fortune upon us so that we are not covered by Gunamaya, we are covered by Yogamaya. Right? Which Maya do we want to be under? Gunamaya or Yogamaya? Right?
Yogamaya.
Yogamaya, right? So that's what they are praying, that you please be merciful upon us and you reveal yourself to us so that we can actually be under the influence of your own Yogamaya potency. Okay, so this is this verse. And yeah. So, one point the Prabhupada says that the Lord is Achintya. If you say that you have figured out the Lord, then you are what?
Foolish.
Brishta Matihi. Brishta Matihi. Right? You have lost your intelligence. Right? And that's why, goes back to a point I made earlier also, that when devotees like Queen Kunti and then they talk about the contradictory qualities of the Lord, that although you are unborn, you take birth. And we said this point earlier, that these contradictory qualities are saying, oh Lord, no one can understand you. You are Achintya, and that is the glory of the Lord. If you say that, I figured it out. I know the Lord. That he's unborn, but out of devotion, he's taken birth and all that. I know the Lord. Then you're Brishtamati. Right? Brishtamati. Right? So we accept that the Lord is so great that he's inconceivable, he's Achintya. Hence, what to do? Hence, what should we do? If we understand the Lord is Achintya and inconceivable, we just bow down and say, our obeisances to you, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You please be merciful upon me. Right? So that's why they're saying, please bestow your causeless mercy upon us, upon these conditioned souls. Okay, stop here. So any comments, questions, realizations?
Prabhuji, Yogamaya, Mahamaya both are same, Prabhu. What is Mahamaya?
Like Yogamaya is both are the same personality, but the Yogamaya is actually on those pure devotees, like how Vrindavan Vasis, they do not know Krishna as God. Right? So they have to forget, right, that Krishna is God. Otherwise, how will they play with Krishna and then say, oh, Krishna, you're a cheater? Say such things if they accept that Krishna is God. So they are covered by a potency called the Yogamaya potency. The same personality, when her reflection, that energy which covers us, that we forget that actually I'm a devotee of the Lord, then that is Mahamaya or Gunamaya.
Guna. Oh, okay.
Same. Gunamaya and Mahamaya, same. And Yogamaya is the spiritual aspect of the potency. So anyway, like us, we are insignificant, right? Jiva is so tiny. So we have to be covered by some potency, that is our choice. Do you want this one or this? There are only two choices. Either you're in Yogamaya or you're in Mahamaya. Like how the devotee told Prabhupada. Prabhupada, sometimes I forget Krishna. Right? And then, he said like, yeah, go ahead.
Sometimes I fall into Maya.
Yeah, sometimes I fall into Maya. And Prabhupada said, you're always in Maya. Sometimes you fall into Krishna. So mostly we are under the influence of Maya, but when we are studying Bhagavatam, chanting the name, then we can come in contact with Krishna. Okay, any comments or realizations?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I like the point. Bhakti is independent and bhakti comes from bhakta. And the pure devotee can prepare the ground of Agyata Sakriti as well. So we don't need anything else. Just Lavamatra Sadhasanga. Pure
Yes.
devotee.
That's why the glorification of even moment association with the pure devotee. And that's all. That's it. All these lifetimes of this yagya, that yagya, pious credits, nothing. Everything is Krishna saying, you're coming in contact with devotee? Okay, ready. Take a bhakti, go back home, bhakti. Go ahead. That is the power of association of devotee. Any other points?
I like the point that when you are performing devotional service and you are in contact with the Supreme Lord, that means that you have already performed all different varieties of yajnas. You have already accumulated all this pious credits from sacrifices.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Any other points?
Prabhuji, like the Lord looks more beautiful when he is with the devotee. Yeah, like Lord Ram and Hanuman, Krishna, Sudama,
Yes.
Singhadev, Prahalad Maharaj. So beautiful.
Mhm.
Prabhuji, I have one question, Prabhuji. Yeah,
Mhm.
go ahead. Can I ask a question, Prabhuji?
Yeah, I was just going to make one point to the point that I mentioned earlier, that even the other verse that says Aho bata sopachatu gariyan, right? So yad jivage vartate nam tubhyam. This comes in the 3rd canto, 33:7. We quoted this last time also. How glorious are those tongues who are chanting the holy name of the Lord. Even if someone is born in the family of dog eaters, such person becomes worshipable. Right? And then the point that I'm saying, that those who are chanting the name of the Lord, they have already executed, they must have executed all kinds of austerities, all kinds of fire sacrifices, all the good manners of the Aryans. They must have already done that. They must have already bathed in all places of pilgrimage. They must have studied the Vedas. They must have done everything to come to the stage of chanting the holy name. Right? So there's another verse that actually says that coming to the stage of bhakti means we must have already done all this. Right? And except the point is when a devotee gives that kripa, that then becomes an exception. Okay, go ahead.
Prabhuji, like I remember reading, like when the Brahma starts when he starts creation, like he sucks like all the fire and water. But now we are reading the earth is underwater when the creation starts. Like
See, there are two waters. One is the water of devastation that actually comes at the night of Brahma, and that covers all the planets until Swargaloka.
yeah, yeah.
Right? So that is a difference. So Brahma, what he observed was this water, water of devastation. But below, the Lord Garbhodaksha Vishnu is always lying on the Garbhodakasha. That ocean is always there.
Okay.
So that ocean, one way you can consider, raises up to the point of covering Swargaloka. So that water he absorbed, but then the remaining Garbhodak is always on. Vishnu is always on the Garbhodak ocean. So that ocean is always there. So here it's saying the earth fell into Garbhodak ocean.
Okay.
Yeah. It's clear?
Yes, bro. Yeah.
So it is the water of devastation is that comes at night of Brahma. So that water Brahmaji absorbs, but Garbhodak ocean is always there. As soon as the Lord enters, he fills half of the universe with water. So that water is always there.
And what is the reason earth fell into that water, Prabhu? Is it happens every day or
That's a good question, actually. I was trying to research into that. It does not happen every day. But when Brahmaji actually, he absorbed that water of devastation, or, he took away that, somehow the earth was still actually in that Garbhodak ocean. So that reason is our acharyas have not given why in that first Swayambhuva Manu, Manvantara, that the earth actually was in the ocean.
Okay.
The other in Chakshusha, then we know how Hiranyaksha, he took out the gold and the earth's balance got messed up and then fell. But why at the starting of the day, the earth was still there?
There's
One way,
no there, maybe no jivas are there. It's empty. So
yeah, I mean, yeah, it's true. The jivas on, but still, like, earth should have been back on axis. But so one way you can say it's because it gives an opportunity to a Lord to appear as Varaha.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
I don't know if anyone else has any points on why did the earth fall into the Prabhupada at the starting of the year. Gopinath Acharya, you know?
No, Prabhuji, I haven't heard. No.
Okay. Any other points?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I like the point, Lord gives the potency for the earth to nourish all of us, and it is law of gravity is the potency of Lord.
Yes, thank you.
I also like the point that the Lord is so unlimited, He's so great, but the real astonishing thing is that He still shows mercy on us.
That's a real astonishment. Particularly if you think of like, what qualities do I have, to be a recipient of the mercy of the Lord? Like, still all the bad habits and anarthas and all nonsense that I have done in my life. And it's just like, why? So that is the astonishing thing. Thank you.
I also like the point that everything that's in touch with the Lord becomes glorious. Like when a dog shakes its body and we don't want to be in touch with that water, but when the Lord shakes his body and that water touches us, it's like so purifying. Or Lord Nrsingadev, I was showing the kids yesterday the photo, and it looks so violent and so gruesome, but for us it's like so beautiful, because like even if it's blood and all that, because it's in touch with the Lord, it's a beautiful scene, even though it's it seems gruesome. But
Even the point that they say, like, why did Narasimhadev actually open the stomach and pull out the intestine and put it on the Lord? Like, why did he accept that as a garland? And they say because the soul of Prahlad Maharaj passed to that part of the body, that part became spiritualized. Because Prahlad has actually gone through that part. So Lord knew that, oh, he's born of Hiranyakashipu. So they took that part and he said, like, okay, I'll accept that as a garland because Prahlad has. So that's the love of the Lord to his devotee. And anything a devotee touches, that's spiritualized. The Lord is accepting that as offering. Nice, thank you. Okay. So let's take a quick 5 minutes break and then we'll continue. Right, we have come to the end of this chapter, almost like 4 more verses, and then we'll give an overview of the next chapter. Okay, thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
One more time, very loudly. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna, Krishna. Hare Hare. जोर से बोलिए हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 हरे
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, Hare Krishna, everyone. So please come back. We'll continue this last few verses to finish this chapter. So text number 46.
Maitreya Vacha iti upastiyamano munibhir brahmavadibihi sharile svakurakranta upadatta vidavanim.
Hare Krishna translation. The sage Maitreya said, the Lord being thus worshipped by all the great sages and transcendentalists, touched the earth with his hooves and placed it on the water.
So basically now these are concluding verses here. So we have completed this pastime, right? Varahadev's pastime. And so So here it says Maitreya Vacha. So Maitreya is continuing. Iti, thus, upastiya manha. So being praised by who? Muni bihi and Brahmavadi bihi. So Muni bihi is the great sages and Brahmavadi bihi is the transcendentalists. So both the sages and the transcendentalists have offered prayers to the Lord. Having offered these prayers to the Lord, then Shalile on the water, Upadata, he actually placed the earth back on the water. And this earth was actually touched by the hoof of the Lord. So the significance of the Lord through this touching the earth is also said that is when he actually gave us his own energy, that own potency was actually invested upon the earth. Okay. So Prabhupada in the purport, he says that Lord is all powerful and he can sustain huge planets either on water or in air. As he likes, he can actually make these planets float. Right? That is how the inconceivable potency of the Lord is. But a tiny human being, we cannot conceive how these potencies can act. Right? So can we think of like floating an object in water? Water, maybe. Right? You can say like, okay, like, so and so in the water, you can make an object float. But can you think of floating an object like the earth with big mountains and, minerals, everything in air? We cannot think about it. We cannot think. So, hence Prabhupada says, a tiny human brain cannot conceive how these potencies are actually acting. And hence, Prabhupada says, frog philosopher, Dr. Frog, right? Prabhupada's favorite, Dr. Frog, right? Dr. Frog. So either they give some vague explanation or give some imaginary explanation, but there is no value to that. Okay. 47.
The earth on the water, like, is that because so it's not floating in the air, it's on the water. So how is that? Can we understand that? Maybe we can't conceive it.
That's an interesting point, that how the earth is actually floating on water. Right? And so, see, one way, this will come later in the 5th canto. One way, if you see the entire Bhumandala, the Bhumandala is floating on water, right? And then it says also the earth, if you see the bottom of the earth is all water, like as we know it, right? We have all the oceans, everything at the bottom of the earth. So one way that is actually considered, and this has been 5th canto where we have to give the details of this, but one way to say the earth is actually on that water. And hence Varahadev actually placed the earth back onto the water. So it's hard for us to conceive, like, how the earth is on water. Like we think that it's floating in space. But even like, how is it floating in space? That also we cannot conceive. So either in water or in space, we cannot conceive both, how that is actually happening. Right? So hence Prabhupada says, Dr. Frog philosophy, they give some vague or, like what is our understanding? We try to understand everything through the knowledge that we have obtained in our schools, right? Through the materialistic scientific knowledge. That's how we try to understand everything. We try to understand, okay, the earth, how is it floating on water? Where is the water? Where is earth? That's the knowledge. But now we are trying to understand that, Prabhupada, that's the point he's saying, that, their knowledge is either vague or it is imaginary. There's no value to that knowledge because they do not know the depth of the knowledge that Bhagavatam is giving. So now we have to understand this whole thing from Bhagavatam's perspective. And that's basically the 5th canto where we study all the planetary systems. So we'll come to that. Right? Okay. 47.
Saitam Bhagavan Urvim Vishvakshena Prajapatihi Rasaya Lila Yonitam Apsunyasya Yayo Harihi.
Translation. In this manner, the personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, the maintainer of all living entities, raised the earth from within the water, and having placed it afloat on water, he returned to his own abode.
So, Itam, in this manner, the Lord is called by what names? Bhagavan, then Vishvakshena, Vishnu, Prajapati, the Lord of all living entities. So 3 names for the Lord. What did he do? Rasaya Leelaya. Was it hard for the Lord to lift it up? No, Leela, just like a pastime, he lifted the earth, put it back into his water, and then Apsun Nyasya. So here clearly saying the earth is placed on the water. And then what did the Lord do after it? Yayo Harihi. Yayo means he disappeared. right? And Prabhupada says the point of avatar. Avatar means what? To descend. They come from the higher reality into this world, show a pastime, and then they go back, right? So he disappeared after showing this lila. Okay, 48.
Ya evametam harimedaso hare katham subhadram kataniyamayanah shrinvita bhaktya shravayeta voshatim janardanor sya shuhridi prasidati.
Hare Krishna, if one hears and describes in a devotional service attitude this auspicious narration of Lord Bore, which is worthy of description, the Lord who is within the heart of everyone is very pleased. Hare Krishna.
Okay. So here he says what? Very nice verse. This is the concluding verse. He says, the Lord is pleased. When is the Lord pleased? Ya evam, one who does. Like does what? Hari medasaha. What is the meaning of Hari?
One who takes away.
One who takes away. So Hari Medasa here means the Lord whose intelligence takes away the what? The material life of the devotee. So Hari is the one who takes away our miseries, who takes away our materialistic life. So Hari Medasa, the Lord whose intelligence, Medasa, destroys the material life of the devotee. And Hare Katham, the narration of a personality of Godhead. Subhadram, it is very auspicious. So what we are doing right now, hearing this pastime is very auspicious. Subhadram. And then he says, Katniya Mayinaha. The Lord who has mercy, that should be praised, right? You're glorifying the Lord for how merciful he is. He's appeared in the form of Varahadev. And the Lord who has his Swarup Shakti. Swarup Shakti appears how? Does he appear out of like his external potency? No, he appears out of his own free will, out of his own internal potency. So either out of mercy, out of his own internal potency, the Lord is appearing, and certainly that Lord should be praised. And one who praises the Lord, Subhadra, very auspicious. Right? Then what should you do about this? Shinvitaha, right? Shinvita Bhaktya. One has to hear about this appearance of the Lord with Bhaktya. Bhaktya means devotion, right? And Shravayeta, allow others to hear, right? So if you hear yourself with devotion or allow others to hear about it, then Janardhan Asu Ridhi Prasidati. Asu, Jayati Asu Vairagyam. Asu, very quickly. Who gets pleased? Prasidati means pleased. Janardhan, the Lord who is in our heart, he becomes very pleased. Right? So do you want to please the Lord in our heart? Then what should we do? What is this verse saying?
We should hear and we should cause others to hear about the glories of the Lord.
Yeah. So we have to hear with devotion, right? We have
With
to hear
devotion.
with Shraddha, with faith. And then how do we cause others to hear? Well, we go out and distribute Bhagavatam. We get everyone an opportunity to hear about these pastimes, or we have such classes. We actually connect people, let them come hear about this Bhagavatam, right? And we cause others to hear, right? So this is directly about the mood of getting others to hear this pastime, hear this Leela. And then the Lord in our heart is actually pleased. So we can think about it when we go out and distribute Bhagavatam. By doing that seva, the Lord in our heart does it take a long time to please the Lord? Asu, very quickly, the Lord is actually pleased. Right? Hence, Bhagavatam, as Rupa Goswami says, is one of the 5 most powerful ways of connecting with Krishna. One of the 5 most powerful ways of bhakti is Bhagavad Shravanam. Just by hearing this Bhagavad Shravanam, then the Lord is quickly pleased. And when the Lord is pleased, then it will progress so rapidly. Then what is left for a devotee, right? So, yes. Right? So either by hearing it ourselves or by inspiring others to hear this pastime, then the Lord in our heart is very much pleased. Right? So if you see in India, like Indians, when they talk of Bhagavad Gita, either they quote which was Karmanyavadhikarasya ma phaleshu kadachana. Or they will quote the second verse, yada yada hi dharmasya glanirбhavati bharata. Now, Prabhupada, if you see in his classes, more than quoting these two words, he quoted the verse, which one? Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tattvata takta deham punarjanma naiti mam iti swarjuna. Right? Why? Why did he quote this? Because say, yes, the Lord appeared, he showed his Leela, yada yada hi dharmasya, he'll come. But right now, how is this applicable to us? If we hear about the janma, the karma of the activities of the Lord, which is divyam, which is transcendental, then we can actually attain the same benefit as if when the Lord is personally here. So Lord himself is transcendental and the Hari Katha is non-different from the Lord, that is transcendental. So just by hearing this pastime of Varahadev appearance and showing this Leela, then we actually takta deham punarjanma naiti bham eti swarjuna. We can go back home, back to God. Right? So that's the power of hearing Harikatha. Right? Okay. So, and then very quickly, the Lord is pleased. Okay, 49.
Tasmin prasane sakala shisham prabho kim dur labham tabhiralam lavatmabihi ananya drishtya bhajatam guhashayah swayam vidhate swagatim paraparam.
Nothing remains unachieved when the Supreme Personality of Godhead is pleased with someone. By transcendental achievement, one understands everything else to be insignificant. One who engages in transcendental loving service is elevated to the highest perfectional stage with the Lord himself, who is seated in everyone's heart.
That's a very, very beautiful verse actually. So here it says what? Tasmin prasanne sakala shisham prabhu. So it says Tasmin prabhu. When the Lord is pleased, right? How do you please the Lord? So the previous verses already told us how to please the Lord. Either we have to hear with devotion and you have to inspire others to hear. So when the Lord is pleased by these activities, sakala ashisham dullabham, right? Then dullabham means very difficult, right? Once you please the Lord, is any benediction difficult for a person to attain? No. Right? As soon as you please the Lord, whatever you want, you can actually have. The Lord is pleased, that means you have direct connection with the Lord. The Lord is unlimited. You can get any benediction. But does a devotee desire any benediction? Then it says, Lava Atma Bihi. Then all other benedictions seem insignificant. For a person who has pleased the Lord, no benediction is difficult for him to obtain, but he does not want any benediction because everything seems insignificant for him. Right? And further it says, Ananya Drishtaya. Ananya Bhakti, right? We hear this Ananya Bhakti means what? Unmotivated, uninterrupted, pure devotional service. So those who engage in this unmotivated, uninterrupted, pure devotional service without any other desires, bhajatam, they are actually engaging in this bhajatam, then what happens? The Lord in the heart, guha ashaya. Guha means? Guha.
Secret.
Secret, or also the cave, right? Like a cave. The Lord who's seated in the cave of our heart, who's seated inside our heart. So the Guha Ashaya, the one who's seated in our heart, Swayam. The word Swayam is actually used. Swayam Vidadate. And what Vidadate? Para Param. Right? So Swayam, the Lord in our heart, personally will do what? Will take the devotee back home, back to God. Imagine. Think about this. The Lord, if we engage in pure ananya drishtaya bhajatam, engage in pure devotional service, then the Lord in our heart will say, okay, now you have pleased me. You have engaged in devotional service. I will personally come, he'll take our hand and he'll take us all the way back home, back to God. He will personally do this. And hence that word swayam is there. Swayam vidadate. Swayam. Personally, the Lord will come and take us home back to God. Right? So beautiful. All we have to do, we have to please the Lord. And to please the Lord, we have to hear Harikatha or give Harikatha to others. Right? then there's no benediction that's difficult to obtain, and then all other benedictions seem insignificant anyway. And by engaging in this pure devotional service, the Lord who is seated in the heart of every living entity, he will personally come and then take us home, back to God. So do you want the Lord to personally come and take us home, back to God? Right? So we have to hear Hari Katha with devotion, and you have to encourage others to hear. So Prabhupada also in the purport quotes 10.10, which is that? Tesham Satayuktanam Bhajatam Pritipurvakam Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam. The Lord is personally giving us intelligence so that we can go back home, back to God. Right? So he actually awards all the knowledge that is necessary to take us home, back to God. Right? So for such a devotee, nothing valuable to be achieved but the Lord's Lord's service. Right? Like, does a devotee aspire for any other benediction, Swarga Loka, or material opulence? Nothing. The only desire the devotee has is, oh Lord, all I want by pleasing you is you kindly keep me engaged in your service. That's what I want. Right? All you want is, Krishna, please never push me away from your reddish lotus feet. Let me always be engaged in your devotional service. And then Prabhupada makes an excellent statement here. He says, if one serves faithfully, there is no possibility of frustration because the Lord himself takes charge of the devotee's advancement. Right? Everyone is getting the nectar of this verse. So here it says, if all we have to do, we serve faithfully, then the Lord will personally take charge of the devotee's advancement. Lord himself will say, okay, this person is trying. He's trying, he's chanting his rounds, but while chanting, he's falling asleep. Hare Krishna, and then, or we are hearing Bhagavatam. We are trying our best, we are falling asleep. Or we are trying to do some seva, but all our imperfections are coming and blocking that thing. But here it says, if one serves faithfully, that no, Krishna, I want to do it. I want to serve you. I really want to come back to you. I want to please you. Please, Krishna, I want to do this. I'm so limited, but I want to do this for you. And we do that in that mood, that faithful, that sincere mood, then Lord will say, okay, what was your imperfection? I'll personally help you. Don't worry. No, what does Prabhupada say? No possibility of frustration. No need to be frustrated. We are trying, but we are failing. As long as we keep trying, faithfully keep trying, then the Lord will say, I'll personally take it. Don't worry. I'll personally take charge of the devotee's advancement, and he'll take us home. Right? That's why in Nectar of Instruction, what does Prabhupada say? The Lord, once started on this journey, the Lord possibly takes one back home, back to God. Right? Because as soon as we take up the journey, and we have to take it sincerely, right? Sincerely we take up the journey, then Krishna will say, okay, he's trying his best. I will help him. I'll personally come, I'll help him. And have we experienced the presence of the Lord in our life? Like Kadam Kana Maharaj, he actually made this point. He said, like, I cannot say that I see the Lord every day, but I see the presence of Lord every day in my life. The Lord is personally helping me progress in my spiritual journey. Right? So the Lord himself takes charge, and that's it. Then there's nothing else to be attained. Right? Such a beautiful verse. So that's the power of hearing Krishna Katha. That's why our entire process emphasizes so much on hearing Krishna Katha, hearing Bhagavatam, because then the Lord personally says, this person is taking interest to hear about me. Okay, I will take charge of this person. I will take charge. Right? And then take us home, back to God. Okay, last verse.
Ko namaloke purushartha saravit pura kathanam bhagavat katha sudham apiya karnanjali bhir bhavapaham aho virajyeta vina naretaram. Who other than one who is not a human being can exist in this world and not be interested in the ultimate goal of life? Who can refuse the nectar of narrations about the personality of God, its activities, which by itself can deliver one from all material pangs.
Mhm. So this is a conclusion of the 3 verses. So what was the first verse? First of the 3? That just by hearing faithfully or encouraging other to hear, then what happens? What happens by hearing or encouraging other to hear?
The Lord in the heart is very pleased.
The Lord in the heart is very pleased. And when the Lord in the heart is very pleased, then what happens?
He takes charge.
He takes charge of the devotee and personally comes and takes him all the way back to Godhead. Right? So, shouldn't everyone hear Krishna Katha? And hear what this verse says? Ko naam loke. Like who in this world who knows Purushartha, the real goal of life? What is the real goal of life? To actually develop a love for Krishna. Krishna Prem is the ultimate goal. One who knows that, right? One who knows the essence of all the Pura Kathanam, all the past history regarding, all the past history, one who knows the essence of the entire Vedas. Who in this world who knows the essence of the entire Vedas would not appear, drink by what? Karna Anjali Bihi. Karna is the ear, Anjali Bihi is like a cup. Right? Like how our palm is like a cup, the ear is also like a cup, right? So we have to pour the nectar, right? The nectar, Katha Sudam, the nectar of Krishna Katha into our ears. Right? And when you pour, then, here is saying, who will not pour the nectar of Krishna Katha into the ear unless someone is like an animal or like a human being who has animal nature. Everyone else will understand. The purpose of human form of life is finally to go back home, back to Godhead, to serve Krishna, to actually engage in devotional service. So who will refuse such nectar? Someone is coming and giving you nectar. Why will you refuse it? Unless you do not know, unless you're an animal, right? Like someone comes to your prasadam, you're having prasadam, and he gives you like your favorite sweet, full of nectar, and he comes and says, please take, so good. And you have not had that for a long time and you're still hungry. You take it. Like who would refuse it? He's someone who's like an animal. Like that's what this verse is saying. The nectar is flowing, so accept the nectar. And what is the result of accepting the nectar? That karna anjali bihi, then bhava apaham. All our bhava, all our material miseries will be vanquished. So who will not take this Krishna Katha? Right? So it's like a rhetoric question. Like who will not take? That means everyone should take Krishna Katha. Don't refuse this nectar. Hear Krishna Katha. Hear Krishna Katha. You'll be delivered from the material pangs. And not only that, Krishna will personally come and take you back home, back to Godhead. So Prabhupada says, the narration of the activities of personality of Godhead is like a constant flow of nectar. Constant flow of nectar. Right? And devotional service to the Lord is the highest goal. So one who knows this highest goal, then why would he refuse to actually receive this nectar? And so last sentence we'll just read. Therefore, one who is serious about eliminating material existence must chant and hear of the transcendental activities of the personality of Godhead. Otherwise, one must be compared to the non-humans. So this is like similar to the verse that, do you remember another verse where it says our ears are like a cup where you have to pour the nectar? Anyone remembers that verse? So that verse starts with Pibanti ye Bhagavata Atmana Satam. Pibanti, again, drink, right? And then Shravana, Kathamritam Shravana Puteshu Samritam. Kathamritam Shravana Puteshu. Puteshu is again like a cup. Right? Samritam. Samritam means how much you should pour? Just little drink is enough? No. You have to keep pouring. Samritam, you completely fill the ears with only Krishna Katha. That's it. Right? And then what is the benefit? Punantiye Vishaya Vidushitachayam. Right? So all our Vishaya, all our material miseries will be washed away. Vrajanti tat charana saroruha antikam. Vraja. That means what? We will go where? Charana saroruhantikam. Will attain the lotus feet of Krishna. Another beautiful verse. Okay. Okay, so we'll stop here. So very nice. The last three verses, so beautiful, right? So, okay. Any comments, questions, realizations?
I was really touched by these last three verses, and especially the 49.
Mm.
You know, where in the purport Prabhupada talks about how the Lord within the heart, he knows the motive of the soul. And so if our motives are sincere, as this, we're trying, even though we may have material desires, even though we keep falling down, but we really, really want to develop our relationship with the devotees in Krishna. He understands that, he knows that, and he guides us along the way, as opposed to those who are pseudo devotees who just make a show and want to say, oh, look at me, and what a great devotee I am, you know. And for those, no, you know, he knows that their motive isn't pure. And Prabhupada says, in other words, the pseudo devotee who is anxious to achieve material gains cannot attain the highest perfectional stage, because the Lord is the knowledge of his motive. So the Lord, he gives us what we want, you know. He will either guide us to the path towards him, if that's our desire, or he will guide us away. That is our desire.
Yes.
And it's just really struck me. It's very profound.
Thank you. And what's the last sentence Prabhupada says? One merely has to become sincere in his purpose. Merely one has to become sincere. Right? There's a sincerity that, yes, you know, give up all these material impediments and just Krishna, I just want you. I just want you. I don't want anything else. Krishna, just you. That's what I've been waiting for lifetime after lifetime. I just want you, Krishna. Just a sincerity in our purpose. And then everything is perfect. Krishna knows our heart, he knows our motive, and he will give us the highest. Thank you. Thank you for bringing that. Okay. Any other comments?
Yeah, also, I love these last three verses. Oh, so encouraging. And also like hearing it ourselves and also trying to help others hear it too, which is like so pleasing to Krishna. So in whatever way we can, try to help others hear it too. And then when Krishna is pleased, then we don't have to worry about our own advancement, because Krishna will take care of that. It's so encouraging.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your realizations. Thank you. I mean, like, you know, one way, like, how do we encourage others to actually hear Krishna Katha? You know, one is like people like to watch something on YouTube, like it's like a big thing, like, you know, okay, watch this show. You can share some nice classes on YouTube, like, you know, how Gaurang Darshan Prabhu, he has this whole series on Bhagavad Pravaha, right? I think 70 classes on the entire summary of the entire Srimad Bhagavatam. 71-hour classes. It's so nice. You know, anyone can hear, and it's like you get the whole flow of the Bhagavatam. So that, you know, or you can share any nice, encourage people. Oh, Varahadev, Narsimha Leela is coming. Share this nice class. Put it on WhatsApp. Let everyone hear. You know, let everyone hear about the Krishna Katha. Share it on other groups. You know, people say, oh, Narsimha Chaturdashi is coming. This nice class is there. If you have time, please hear. You know, or we can give them Bhagavatam. You know, door to door, go out, distribute Bhagavatam. That way they get the chance to actually have the opportunity to hear this nectar. You know. And also, if you feel that, see, this is our Bhakti Vaibhav class, but, you know, like if anyone you feel would have that commitment that, okay, to come on Sunday and give this 2 hours, 45 minutes every Sunday to hear this nectar, you can share it with them. You can let me know, and then we can discuss, you know, like, you know, if they are beginners in Krishna consciousness, I wouldn't encourage them to directly jump into Bhagavatam. You know, they have to at least know the basics of Bhagavad Gita. But those who are practicing bhakti and you feel like, okay, next level, maybe they'll relish this Bhagavatam, and you can tell me, we can add them to this group. And we can, you know, at least once a week, give that commitment of 2.5 hours, sit, and just hear Bhagavatam. That's our, commitment. And I thank all of you, you're giving that time to Krishna. This is a real thing, I know Sunday morning, so many other commitments may be there, but you are actually giving that time to Krishna, to Bhagavatam. I'm grateful to each one of you to show that, interest to actually really give that. Okay, whatever else, now is Bhagavatam time. Bhagavatam time. Priyas, Bhagavatam. We can encourage others also to make such a commitment to somehow or other go through Bhagavatam.
Prabhuji, do we one devotee in the congregation asked about Hindi classes. So I was thinking of asking in India, but do we have any Hindi Bhagavatam classes either here or in India that they can join? They can relate more in Hindi. They asked about it.
I'm sure there are many groups, like if you're looking for actual Zoom classes, then I'm sure there are many groups, or YouTube, there are many classes for sure, but
They are looking for Zoom classes so that they can read and discuss as we do interactively.
Mataji, I can share there is a Parthisarthi Foundation. Hindi classes happen every day.
Thank you so much, Mataji.
that's good. So we can encourage others to be a part of this. So nice. And then Krishna in our heart will be pleased with that. And, thank you. Okay, any other points? Let's stop here.
Prabhuji, one question, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Like, we are doing service, Prabhuji, but there are like we'll fall down because of the weaknesses. So like, yeah. So
Yeah, I mean, the whole point of this verse is yes, we accept we have weaknesses. We are going to fall. We are going to go away. But are we sincere in our purpose? In the sense, like, do we really want to go to Krishna? Do we really want to serve Krishna? Do you want to really love Krishna? Maybe our purpose is not so strong initially. But by associating with devotees who have a stronger purpose, then our purpose also, our sincerity will also grow. So one point I would say, like, yes, we have so many struggles, so many anarthas we deal with, all challenges. Okay, trying to bring our mind back is going here. I say, okay, I don't want to do this. I don't want to waste my time. And again, we tend to do that again and again. Right? All those things are there. Right? But the main point I would say is keep up the process. Let the process keep going on. Chanting Hare Krishna, reading Bhagavatam, Bhakti Vaibhav classes, associating with devotees, doing. Let the process, don't leave the process at any moment. Don't slacken the process. If the process is going on, then all these anarthas will also go away. Then you don't have to focus too much on these weaknesses. I'm sure everyone can relate that over the years, you can say, oh, before I had this bad habit, but now I don't even like have the slightest attraction. I don't even like think about these things. So it is working. The process works, but don't give up the process. Just keep continuing. Okay, this anartha is there, I'm fighting, but still, I'll keep continuing. Okay, this time Bhakti Vaibhav, okay, I have to come. This time Seva, I have to come. I have to do that. Let the process work on you and do the magic.
Krishna Prabhuji, and for me too, the last verses are very beautiful and gives me so much hope. Because, like you said, we are all facing a lot of challenges in our life, but stick to the process with sincerity, and the Lord Himself is going to help us. It's wonderful. Thank you so much.
Okay, anyone else?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I like this sentence very much. I cannot see the Lord, but I see the presence of Lord every day.
So true, right? And we can practically realize that. We just have to, like, Krishna is reciprocating with us. We just have to, like, see the hand of Krishna in our day-to-day. Like, we sometimes, we see some arrangements made. Like, I was talking to one person and you're saying, like how he got connected to Bhakti Vish group, and he said, like, how everything, like, my situation changed. I came to this place, I connected to this Bhakti Vish, and he said, it's all like coincidence, like how everything happened. I said, it's not coincidence. It's Krishna is personally helping you come to association of devotees. It's Krishna. See Krishna's hand in every situation. It's not coincidence that, oh, I got a job here, or I had to move here and then I got connected with devotees. It's Krishna. See Krishna's hand everywhere, right? So even in our life, so every moment we just have to be aware that yes, Krishna is there in our life, and we will see how Krishna is playing a hand in every situation. So thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji. So through this chapter, we really got the opportunity to hear about the Varaha Avatar pastime more detail. Actually, it's really glorifying. And like the activity, like we mentioned, like when Lord Varaha, he came from the ocean out and he shake his body. So when we see in the material world, when some animals are doing the same act, we don't feel very attractive and good. But the same act is done by the Lord. It is very pleasing for everyone. It is purifying. Just that the water coming from his body, it is purifying. Like how in the temple, after the Achman, the water is offered to the Lord and it is sprinkled on everyone and everyone gets purified. The same way the feeling is coming after hearing this pastime. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay. Thank you so much. Okay, so next week, okay, anyway, one point just about the flow. So we read about Varaha, but is knowing Vidura up to this point, is he satisfied? No. No, we know Vidura's mind. He's just like so anxious. He says, you mentioned about this killing of Hiranyaksha? I want to hear more. Come on, this is not enough. 3 verses on Nil Varaha, not enough. Speak more, speak more. Then Maitreya Rishi will say, okay, I'll speak. And then he starts off from the background how Hiranyaksha is actually even born from Diti. So that's the next chapter, how Diti, she wants to have union at the wrong time, and then Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu are born, and then how, again we'll read how Varahadev actually kills, but in more detail. Right? And then from that, the story of Jaya and Vijay will come. How did Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu come? And how they get liberation? And then Jaya Vijay story. So it's nice stories after story we are going to read. Okay. So that's one about the flow. And then next week we will not have a class because it is Sadhu Sangha. It's a long weekend. We are going to Sadhu Sangha, and a few devotees here on the call also are going for the Sadhu Sangha retreat. So we will not have class next Sunday. And then the following week we'll continue with our weekly classes. Okay. Thank you all so much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya, Kripa Sindhubhya evacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namo. Thank you all so much. Hare Krishna. Thank you everyone for joining and spending your Sunday morning here. I'm grateful for each one of your association. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Thank you so much,
Prabhu.
Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have back-to-back services, but you still give this time to us.
This for
We
me,
are blessed to have your divine association, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Thank you for your association. Everyone. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you for joining. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Hare Krishna. Dhanavad.
Thank you so much, Babuji. Association of a pure devotee saves us.
Srila Prabhupada Association. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.